I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily spreading like a rare disease, but I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it. Go on and take your aim. I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I can change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the gas, you can see all the healing. If the
Just ask them how I did it. I got out the limo, grabbed the hand, went upstairs and fucked her.
I like when you like this, Daddy. Huh? Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. I like that.
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing?
Stop bouncing me. Yay!
I'm in Miami right now. I'm in Miami right now. I'm in Nashville, I'm on Ocean Drive. I'm in Miami. In Miami right now. I'm in Nashville right now. On Ocean Drive right now. That's on my mama. I'm in Miami. I'm After I go to the window, so I'm gonna Cali. I said I'm too official. I'm out with them niggas. I said, man, the rapper on the city, that nigga, he wicked. We pull out with them guns, you know me in the real. Well, mama pays, I ain't having ever since that I was real. Yeah, I came up like an AP and I will never squeal. Would never ever on my mouth, cause I swear I'm too real. Yeah, I'm in the East Court, I'm living life for real. Why the fuck you can hate it? I rise to the chill. You gon' really piss me off, and I'ma pull up on the steel. I'ma pull up on the drink, go and get your ass killed. Man, stop capping, cause I'm fucking wicked. I pull up to your city, tell me your location, bitches. You know we fuck that shit. My youngest know you killin', I wanna grind, got money on my mind, no money on my wrist, so I can tell the time. You know I'm rapping and jumping, I'm trying to eat. All around the world, I'm doing shows, I really come to eat. Hey, they trying to play on me, I swear I'm doing my shit. One more time, I was poor and I ain't have shit. Every day I'm just riding by the same outfit. I done came up, I'm switching cars, yeah, I'm switching shit. These niggas mad at me, they wanna clown me. I'm in Miami right now, I'm off of South Beach. I'm living large, I'm living life. They know me, wanna take my life. Yeah, it's on my mama. I'm in Miami, I'm out there doing them videos, shooting, going to Cali. I'm on my mama, and I'm in Miami right now. I'm in the 305, yeah, I'm on Ocean Drive. Pull up with a red car, my life is on now. They wanna play with me, they wanna clone me. I'm bad bitch, Latino, she wanna sleep with me. I'm in the 305 right now. I'm in Miami right now. On Ocean Drive right now. I'm in Miami right now. I'm in Miami. I'm in the 305. 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 I'm in Miami right now. Yeah, I'm on Ocean Drive. I'm in Miami right now. Yeah, I'm on Ocean Drive. Yeah, in the front car. That's all look at me. I'm the youngest in the game. You can't beat me. Cause I'm that nigga from the bottom. No, I will never change. Diamonds on my hoodie. I got diamonds on my chain. I'm in this song. No, that's right. Ain't no game. Yeah. In Miami right now. In the 305. Yeah.
The streets, bitch.
Yo, man's best friend. Look what I got for Father's Day. Special request. They offered me all kind of fancy stuff. I wanted me a Hungry Jack. Old school at noon. This Hungry Man. A Hungry Man. Salisbury steak. You guys ain't ready for this type of thing. Remember the chicken, the fries? This is the one I'm with the little. I'm going all in with this one. Happy Father's Day.
Late night crew. The fuck going on, man? The fuck going on, man? Good morning, good afternoon, all that good shit. Hey, say what's up to your boy. No, you didn't, Tracy. Matter of fact, we gonna do it right now. Tracy, what's happening? Lefty, what the fuck going on, cuz?
Sweetie!
Regina, Carefree, Javon Barksdale. Raging. Shayna was happening. Potato Gaming. Critical Smoker, we back outside, like right now. Scott Johnson. Shout out to all my first and second shifters in the bushes. I know it's kind of weird for some of y'all. Shout out to my third shift folk that's probably just, you know, just waking up. I tried to explain this to y'all last night, and now some of y'all seeing what I'm talking about just last night. When I told y'all, I'm like, for them to file that motion rule 29 with no witnesses from the defense, and now it's changed within a couple of hours, and it's changed a lot. Susan, good afternoon. Zarian was happening. This shit crazy. This shit crazy. I woke right up, was like, damn, I gotta go to work right now. I gotta go to work right now. How? That's all I knew. So I got my black ass up, went and got me some Pepsi, and it's time to go to work. I'm gonna play a song, and then I'm gonna open this box right here. I'm living large, I'm living life. They hating on me because they know I'm right. I told y'all with these cases, y'all have to put personal feelings out of the way, because that's what they prey on, is your personal feelings. Shit, it might even be faux. Raging, I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, Kelly's not feeling too great today either. She couldn't wait to get up in court and do her lawyer speak, but it's not needed. Carefree in the cut one time. Jed and the white man equal broke back advocacy.
Lord Jesus.
This is about to be a little fun early afternoon stream. What is this doggone debris on me? I'm gonna play one song, and then I'm gonna open this box, and then we gotta talk about Diddy, bro. All you big YouTubers, y'all niggas, did y'all predict any of this? No? Y'all were just parroting what y'all heard in the news because it's easier that way. Easier to get money, easier to get views, and all that shit, just shitting on people instead of telling the truth. I understand. That's why I won't do it. I have what's called integrity. And I know how to compartmentalize my personal feelings from the facts. I could never lose. What you thought? Nobody cares about that outside of motherfucking Nancy Grace. Like, again, these are personal feelings. Y'all still think that Diddy's career is over and all this shit, man. This shit will make him stronger. The people that matter haven't said anything and won't say anything. People who don't matter, that's why you hear them, because the people who matter aren't saying anything. So that leaves nothing left but people who don't matter. Don't nobody give a fuck that, oh, Diddy's dick looks like a Tootsie Roll. Like, that shit is, that is the most biggest alleged of anything. Like, this hasn't been, no case has been, nobody has won a case against Diddy yet. All these hundreds of thousands of cases, name the one person who won. Cassie, that's it. And then Cassie fucked her whole shit up. She should have just took the money and went and laid down, but she couldn't because the feds help her get the money. So she had to do this solid for them. Cassie has zero credibility and looks like a massive whore. And we don't have Diddy on tape threatening to kill nobody. We got her on tape doing it though. And she's supposed to be one of the victims. I never heard of a girl go, yeah, the nigga that's sex trafficking me, I'm gonna have him kill you. What? Who do this? Kendra, good afternoon. Yeah, we wasn't on trial for domestic and neither was Diddy. Told y'all niggas from Jump Street, why don't y'all charge that nigga with the shit we know he did? Because they would have just gave him a slap on the wrist for a domestic, like they give everybody else. But then again, I'm probably lying. Reality Check TV Chicago, my brother in Christ. Good afternoon, sir. Sean Combs looks like he's getting ready to beat this motherfucker, bro. This shit crazy. I am in utter awe. I am in utter awe. I need y'all to hit that like button. I got a song I want to play. And then we're going to open this box and see what's in this box. What's in the box? What's in the box? Oh, prosecution. I see through your tricks. You guys play like Kelly. Kelly who? Who knows? He said nigger and bitch.
I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. Check it out.
Jesus, the notorious just. Please us with your lyrical thesis. We just chillin', milk 'em, top billin', silkin', pure linen, me and little C, Malibu sea breeze, dawn peas, palm trees, cats named Pablo and milked out Diablo. The williest, bitches be the silliest. The more I smoke, the smaller the silly gets. Room 112, where the players dwell, and stash more cash than Bert Fidel. Inhale, make you feel good like Tony. Kick up in your middle like Moni. She don't know me, but she's setting up to blow me. Try to style sliding off with a homie. Escada Dangada, player, stay splurging. Game so tight, they call it version.
Oh, I need to know where we stand. Do we share the special thing called love? I know I do. What about you? I just can't get enough of this time. Where you go? What do I do? I can't live without
to. Come all you want to. Money, I'ma front you. Girl, I wanna flaunt you.
right.
I'ma always want you when nobody wants you. If I die now, my love will still haunt you. Mace ain't the one that'll pay for your phone. Mace be the one that'll take you home. Even though I'm not the one that gave you the stones on your days alone, I can make you moan. Everybody know I got more bounce than the ounce.
Bad boy, get more money than you can count.
Why I'm buying things you can't even pronounce. I do it to you, cat, for a large amount. And when the beef come, you know where to be found. Why I be around till the winner is announced? Here you go, girl, with thousands in your palm. Why you can't let bygones be bygones?
Where do I go? What must I do if I can't live without love? Thinking of you amaze me, feel, baby, like I'm the only one for you. Girl, I want be oh yeah. No one else. I need you in my life, baby. Why can't we happen? Oh, baby, oh, baby, I like.
I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop.
You know what they all been waiting for, Playboy. Okay. We here now. We in the house now. Yeah. 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 This moment they all been waiting for, Playboy. Okay. We here now. We in the house now. Yeah. 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 This moment they all been waiting for, Playboy. Okay. We here now. We in the house now for sure.
Money, cars and everything.
Check this out. I'm tired of playing games.
Anything to have you on my
Go back, shorty. I'm gonna trade it off. Fabulous talk.
I assume I'm so into you. Cause even before we hit the bedroom, I was friends with you. If they ask, I ain't gotta say whom in them interviews. My sweet thing never believed them rumors that been true. The fact I had numerous friends is true. But you as wifey could change me to a groom in a minute, boo. Maybe my sense of humor gets into you. But girl, they can make a perfume from the scent of you. I wanna take you where it feel like June and December too. So what you think about Cancun to the winter through? I don't know what the other consumers you been with do. I put a day aside to go to Bloomies and spend with you. Like any other man, I would've zoomed to the clinic too. Now I wanna see if me and my junior's identical. A dude put a wound on the skin of you. I swear that everything that same afternoon and beginning new. Feel me?
Yeah. Even give up a street dream. Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all. Even give up a good thing. And I get to watch it pick it right. I trade it all. Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all.
Come here, girl. Come and take a walk with me so I can take you places you don't often be. Come on, ma. Come and get lost with me. As far as them other chicks can't get them off of me. Everlasting love in a whole nother fashion. All I'm asking, let me cash in. Cause I give all the cash in. All of the Sean John fashion in orderly fashion. Perhaps when you figure out exactly what Diddy bout. Cause we can take this whole city out. Now who gon' stop us? Who gon' knock us? Top us? We can't find coppers to lock us. Lead jets and choppers. Love hella proper. Separate the weak from the obsolete. Hard to keep, I got ya. I rock ya. Bird the big papa. I got ya.
I trade it all. Even give up the street dream. Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all. Even give up the good thing. And I get to watch it pick it right. Trade it all. Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all.
I'm gonna give this all up for you, shorty. What's your mind right? Ride what you want, huh? Let me take you somewhere. Fabulous,
Yeah.
come on.
Yo, this newcomer's known to move with the seasons. Couple winter lodges, few summer homes. I'm there for every ooh, and moan. And make sure when the new Hummer roams, the shoes come in chrome. I ain't new at buying white, yellow, and cucumber stones. That send chills through a woman's bones. But life gets gruesome alone. Even though I got the kind of bread that won't matter if a few crumbs are blown. Flights out on flew some alone. Now I wanna wake up every day with you in a new number zone. Mama Mia, it's you on my phone. Just to erase all the negative views from your dome. And I promise this fella's G. It's so gangsta, it'll calm all the jealousy and drama you telling me. So mama, come yell at me, so I could put the top down and we could cruise like Tom and Penelope. My charm is a felony.
I trade it all, even give up a street dream. Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all, even give up a good dream. Can I get a watch and pick it ring? Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all, money, cars, and everything. Even give up a street dream. Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all, even give up a good dream. Can I get a watch and pick it ring? Anything to have you on my team. Baby girl, I trade it all.
Now you get another chance, small. I don't hustle like that. I hustle like this. There's not a second left. You know that tomorrow I'm hustling like there's only one more second left of this hustle.
Don't bother me, I'm working.
But the
Don't
women.
bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't work it.
Can't you see I'm on the phone, bitch? Gone, don't be coming over here with that shit when I'm
working.
Call me Mr. Combs and I'm 9. Did the strong niggas hating on me, but it's 9.
Working.
When I was 19, I walked in the house and I told my mama she could stop.
Working.
When you niggas used to beatbox on the block, Big and D-Rock, they was getting that.
Working.
Then I linked up with some niggas from my hood who was known for putting that.
Working.
And if your record ain't had 9, then your song wasn't.
Working.
Ran into this young Joan, tell her come home, she asked for a check, I said, bitch, is you?
Working.
Now every time she call, I don't even pick up, I just hit her with the text line.
Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working.
Yeah, put your hands together.
Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working.
Yeah, I ain't finished.
Don't work it.
I do this shit for B.I.G., so if you don't like me, fuck you in the building, you.
Work it.
If you see us in the club with Ciroc by the tub, we ain't having fun, nigga, we.
Work it.
In the DJ booth like an independent group, like, look, this the record we.
Work it.
Play this shit 100 times, if you don't, we gon' be in here every single night that you.
Work it.
Shout out to my people with a job. I hope you don't fall asleep tomorrow when you.
Work it.
I was macking on the strip, my partner tapped me on the back, I turned around like, nigga, can't you see me?
Work it.
She a waitress or a stripper. If it's past midnight, it should tell you she. And we hustle before we can play. So even on Memorial Day, my nigga.
Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me, I'm working.
I can feel my face. Will I live today? Way too many drugs for me to feel your love. Looking for some faith. I can't stand this place. I can't stand this place. We can't stand this place. Don't bother me when I'm working. Please don't bother her when she jerking. It goes down behind these curtains. Gotta watch out cause these niggas lurking. Gotta watch the block we're making these purchases. Gotta take a girl to find a new surgeon. Cause whoever designed that ass, it ain't working. On my 100 shot of vodka still going up. Yeah. Need some blue dot in my cup. Cause the shit ain't working. Straight up. No, the shit ain't working.
You are fucking with the Don. I'm talking Nero renowned. Did every single thing right like I traveled through time. I come to your city and town, but you cannot travel through mine. All I care about is mom and how to get it all the time. Ain't fuck with me when the car decline. Now when your car decline. Tell the bitch don't fall in love, fall in line. 25 to life, yeah, I'm going in for real. See, I'm in the field like Centerfield. Everybody wanna be the realest nigga. Boy, it ain't no nigga real as Emmett Till. Nice, I would pray for real. I said my grace before I hit a mill. Ain't nobody in my business except the ones who do the business deals. Running shit, even when I'm sitting still. Yeah, bitch, I'm still working. got it right, I'm still
working.
I call up my girl, I can't lie, baby, this shit not
Working.
You went to sleep and woke up and I'm still in the office, a nigga been
Working.
You been working forever, yo ass still in debt, I guess your work ain't
So I've been noticing this morning, all of you niggas are moving the goalposts and all of this shit. I will acknowledge no goalpost moving. None. You niggas told me I was wrong every step of the way, but yet somehow it keeps going the way I keep telling you it's going. As of what, like, how long was I out there? Maybe like 8 hours ago? Maybe like 8, 9 hours ago? I told you niggas that, this looks bad. The defense ain't called no witnesses because they like, Christie put it best, like, why would we call anybody to refute anything when there's nothing to refute? Now they're going to tell the jury, hey, you know how we had y'all listen to all that bullshit for the last 30 days? Yeah, but a lot of that shit, don't even worry about it. You remember when Kid Cudi came through? Yeah, don't worry about it. Tommy!
Stop the cap.
Kid Cudi came through and Shay was like, yeah, that was a bunch of bullshit. Well, the feds agreed. Don't worry about Kid Cudi. When Capricorn Clark got on the stand, I was like, what? Yeah, this shit don't sound consistent. Guess what the feds said? Yeah, cut that shit out too. Bitch, I'm still working. I see that surprise witness, which I ain't got no beef with BJ at all. But I see that her live streams have been cut in half. See, in the beginning, she was up to 10 racks. Every live, she was dropping 10,000. Today, when she's talking about jury instructions, 5,000. Because some of y'all know what's getting ready to happen. This is less about BJ not being good at her content or whatever. This is more about a lot of you niggas know what's about to happen. This is why I let people say what they want to say about me, and I just stand on my square, bro. That's all I know, bro. I ain't gonna cap. I'm just gonna give the facts and give my assessment of said facts. But before we get to all that, we got this box from Tracy. I don't know what's in it, but we gonna open it. So if the screen goes black, call 911 because a bomb has exploded in my house. Jackie, what's happening? Ravens fan, what's happening? Leslie, what's happening? Bro, what's happening? Shit ain't working. You are fucking with the Don. I'm talking Negro renowned. Every single thing right, like I traveled through time. I come through your city in town, but you cannot come through mine. Yo! What the actual fuck? Yo! Motherfucking Macho Man Slim Jim joint, bro. It's a Slim Jim. Bro, I can put Slim Jims in this motherfucker. Yo! Hold on. Let me do something right quick, because I gotta be showing niggas what time it is. Just get the fuck out. You don't have to say goodbye and all that shit. I just want you to get the fuck out, nigga. Fuck you. Interrupting me. I don't even know you, nigga. Shut the fuck up. You don't know me. So don't come in here and disrespect me talking shit. That's the second time you said you was leaving. You won't get a third. Get the fuck out. Goofy ass motherfucker. Anyway, let's open this motherfucker. Ooh, yeah. Chips. Gotta have beef. A little excitement. Oh, my Lord, Tracy. This is unreal. What the fuck? You gotta tell me what you want for this. You can't just give me this, bro. You can't just give me this. Hold on, I gotta let the wife see this. Tracy, that shit is absolutely amazing. As a matter of fact, hold on. All right. Great moment. This was an absolutely great moment. This is an absolutely great moment. Wellness check. Damn, nigga, I can't walk away from the screen for sometimes niggas leave the screen for like 10, 15 minutes. A lot of these big ass streamers with 100,000 people leave the screen for like 20, 30 minutes. Niggas go take shits on the air. I've seen it. Damn. I was happy about my Slim Jim, motherfucker. Let me roll this Macho Man blunt, man. Fuck y'all niggas. Y'all can blame Tracy. Tracy got me hyped. First of all, Chrissy tried to act like I ain't never liked Slim Jims, which is insane for her to say. She's mistaken a big thing. She's mistaken a massive thing. She said, she tried to tell me that, like, I was like, Christy, I stopped eating Slim Jims because they unhealthy. And she was like, well, you told football she wasn't allowed to have them. I was like, so you telling me that I told her she wasn't allowed to have them because I didn't like them? Or did I tell her that she couldn't have them because they're unhealthy? Which one is it? So we about to smoke this Macho Man blunt, nigga. No, Jackie, no. We are not singing Village People Macho Man. Fuck that. The fuck? Y'all niggas, bro, you can't take you niggas nowhere. The great disrespect to the Macho Man. What the actual fuck? Yes, Kendra, because you sent me some of the grass-fed ones, which was the other thing I told her. I was like, I had mentioned this on the air, and Kendra sent me some that were the grass-fed versions, which are supposed to be healthier than the Slim Jims. And still was just like, and so my family's like, since they haven't seen me eat a Slim Jim forever, that means I ain't. Man, my favorite Slim Jim commercial, I was 12 years old and it changed my life. I could text my brother right now, one word, and he's gonna go through the whole spiel. If I text my brother right now, chips, he gonna lose it and go through the whole spiel. Chips. Gotta have beef, a little excitement. Snap into a Slim Jim. So yes, I will get a couple of Slim Jims to indulge in a couple unhealthy Slim Jims from time to time in my Slim Jim dispenser. And I don't want to catch none of you niggas' paws near it. As a matter of fact, I'm putting some in there and I'm putting the bitch right in the studio. I'm the Slim Jim Nazi around this motherfucker. No Slim Jim for you. I'm about to celebrate my Slim Jim. Hold on, let's smoke this Macho Man blunt. Or let's at least start to smoke this Macho Man blunt. And then we got to talk about Diddy, bro. That's why everybody's here. Everybody's not here for Macho Man. I'm here for Macho Man. I feel better. Cynthia, what's happening? Daniel, what it do? Hey, man, shout out to Tracy, bro. Shout out to Tracy, bro. Ooh, yeah. Somebody's getting an elbow drop. Diddy. Hey, Diddy. How you doing, sir? Looks like you coming home, old buddy. Shay only told you from step one that you probably coming home. And, I just want to know, why would the prosecution rush and then drop charges? How does this make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. June 25, 2025. Feds drop arson kidnapping allegations of Sean Combs, racketeering conspiracy. Prosecutors are changing the scope of the intended firebombing of Kid Cudi's car and attempted kidnappings as theories under racketeering conspiracy count, aka it was all a bunch of bullshit. Go ahead and cheese on them, Diddy. Hours after prosecutors rested their sprawling sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy case against Sean Combs on Tuesday, prosecutors filed a late-night letter to the court saying they'd be scaling back elements of 3 predicate acts of the racketeering charge against the hip-hop mogul. The government is, quote, no longer planning to proceed, end quote, on theories of attempted arson, alleged incidents of attempted kidnapping in California and New York, and aiding and abetting of sex trafficking when giving charging instructions to the jury. So let's stop right there. Since step one, I told you that none of these witnesses, Kid Cudi, that Capricorn Clark bitch, and all these other motherfuckers, I told you they weren't doing shit but testifying on alleged domestic disputes. I also told you from the beginning, why didn't they just charge this nigga with domestic shit? We could have found this nigga guilty in a week and been done with this shit. I told you Cassie's whole motherfucking testimony was nothing but talking about a domestic. All of the employees that they, 30-something witnesses they had. All the employees, all they could testify to is possible shit they saw him do with his girlfriends. Jane Doe was a girlfriend, AKA 50 Cent baby mama. So in my opinion, she's an industry bop. Y'all told me that Diddy was just like getting these bitches, these random ass whores who weren't whores. He just go from city to city picking random girls and bring them to freak offs. None of these civil suits came true outside of Cassie's. And came true is just she got some money from it. All of these other super salacious ones and everything, and nothing happened. The feds didn't use none of those people, anything. They couldn't charge him with the guns because they couldn't even say they found an actual gun. They found gun parts. Remember, I kept asking, why ain't y'all charging this nigga with them guns? That'd have been enough. Because you found gun parts. I also told y'all, I said, do y'all not see the ruse they pulling over your eyes by making y'all focus on baby oil? What is illegal about baby oil? Nah, it's the implications that come with the baby oil. I mean, you got to be trafficking bitches if you need cases of baby oil. Even though I also told y'all that if that brand found out that Diddy likes their brand, they would literally just send Diddy a case or 2 or 3 or 4, just like every other rich person. Especially if you're rich and a celebrity. The Fed said this shit was going to take 8 weeks. We are at day 30, and it looks like it's about over. And I told all of y'all, how do they know how long the trial would take? How do they know it was going to take 8 weeks? They've shown videos of Diddy at alleged freak-offs with consenting adults. And now, on day 30, after the prosecution rests, the defense say, we not bringing anybody. As a matter of fact, we want you to just base an acquittal off the fact that they never proved any sex trafficking. And that the prosecution and the feds come back and go, they full of shit. Nah, the prosecution and the feds like, oh shit, they actually kind of right. So yeah, we gonna drop a lot of this shit off so that way the judge can't just do that. And now the jury, who isn't sequestered, you know, they're not watching any trial coverage on the honor system. Now the jury is going to be told, never mind about a lot of this shit we said. You remember when we had you sit in court all day long with Kid Cudi? Never mind. Remember when we had you sit in court all day over Capricorn Clark? Never mind. So if you were already sitting on the jury before today, and I want you to answer in the chat if you can. If you were sitting on the jury before today and you felt like Diddy wasn't guilty of sex trafficking, what do you think today? Good afternoon, Janice. What do you think today? Hey, but y'all got it, bro. Mob, where you at? Mister, they're building their case. They're building their case. They just literally took their fucking case apart. All of that building you said they was doing, they literally just undid all of it. So I can't wait to hear how you move the goalpost on this one. It's part of the master plan of the feds to look like idiots. They got up there like all these fucking days y'all wasted with certain, like, yeah, all that kidnapping, all that shit. Yeah, never mind. Combs is still facing separate counts of sex trafficking his ex-girlfriends Cassandra Cassie Ventura and a woman using the pseudonym Jane, as well as 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution for allegedly paying for male escorts to fly across the country to have sex with his girlfriends while he watched. Well, that's going to be hard to prove, seeing as though Cassie got up there and said she was the one doing it. And that's number one. Number two, why wouldn't we hit the place that Diddy bought the prostitutes from with a RICO? Oh my Lord, bro. Y'all niggas is wild. In addition, there are still core predicate acts included in the racketeering conspiracy count, including bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, and the possession and distribution of drugs. So y'all trying to get Diddy as a dope dealer. Hey, nigga, this shit's hilarious, bro. However, the firebombing of Kid Cudi's car and the alleged kidnapping of Combs' assistant Capricorn Clark, who claimed she was threatened and given a lie detector test over 5 consecutive days in a locked office building, were amongst the most bombshell allegations from the case. And the Fed said, never mind. I told you all that shit sounded good and salacious, but there was no evidence of anything. They want you to believe that Diddy not only went and blew up this nigga's car, but Diddy snuck into this nigga's house like a cat burglar, because they claimed that all the security cameras was turned. Diddy and one security guard turned into cat burglars to get in this nigga's house undetected. He admitted he had cameras and shit all over his shit, but Diddy somehow got in there without being seen on camera. Then this other bitch who claims that Diddy was setting her up or kidnapped her. While she was kidnapped, she's sitting on the phone with Cassie and Cudi. Like, y'all niggas, like, this shit never made sense. It never made any. Capricorn Clark lied multiple times on the stand. Like, how many times did they put up at somebody? And I was like, wait, in the prosecution called this person? How many times did the defense get up and go, hey, nigga, didn't you say this with the feds in your initial interview? You did. So why are you saying this now? And what was their answer every time? The 55-year-old, who seemed to be in good spirits in the final days of his trial, has pleaded not guilty to all charges. This is even written different. Diddy's in good spirits. Diddy's in good spirits. Does anybody remember what they were saying week one? Diddy looks terrible. All of his hair is gray. They try to pretend that nobody knew that Diddy had gray hair until this shit. Even though I showed y'all multiple Instagram lives where Diddy has sat on Instagram Live and shit with his hair not dyed, and you see the gray all in his beard and all in his hair. Nancy Grace doing videos talking about this is what Diddy was eating on Memorial Day, as if Diddy was ever eating regular shit in there. To Mark Chutkow, a former federal prosecutor in Detroit who specialized in racketeering and human trafficking cases, prosecutors walking back some of the predicate acts serves two purposes: minimizing confusion for jurors, sure, and warding off a possible defense strategy of accusing the government of overreaching. Exactly. They heard that Rule 29 shit and was like, oh, nigga, we need to take some of this off the table before we lose. The feds have a 95% conviction rate. And what did I ask you to that? Who were in the 5%? % of the time, it works every time. Quote, probably in reviewing the evidence here as the case is closing, the prosecution realizes that the quantum of evidence that they have for those particular counts aren't quite as strong as it is for others. One thing you don't want to do as a prosecutor is be susceptible to the argument that you've overreached. By keeping those predicate acts in here, the defense may latch on to those things and say, this is an example of the government presenting you evidence that truly is not beyond a reasonable doubt. Hashtag Shay was right. I told you niggas. I wouldn't see it as a victory for Combs per se. Chuck Gal, now a trial attorney at Dykema Gossett, adds, quote, I see it more as the government is comfortable that its proof came in on the other racketeering predicate acts and didn't feel like it was necessary to continue to present on this. That's just something that happens in large, complex cases where you want to make sure that the jury doesn't get confused. The prosecution wants the cleanest case that they can present to the jury so that there aren't a lot of disputes and arguments here. Nigga, y'all had Kid Cudi sit on that stand for a whole day. It might even been more than a day, but I think it was just one day. And now y'all saying never mind. How is that not confusing to the jury? How? How is that not confusing to the jury? Well, you thought that it was enough for him to come sit up here for a day, and now that you realize how stupid the shit sounds, now you want to say never mind so it can be less confusing? How is it less confusing? I'm confused as to why you brought this nigga up here if you knew that he was full of shit. The alleged kidnapping of Clark in 2004 marked the start of the government's racketeering conspiracy count against Combs. Dun, dun, dun. The former assistant testified that Combs accused her of stealing diamond jewelry and had a security guard ransack her apartment looking for the items, finding nothing. Clark said she was escorted to a locked, dilapidated office building in Midtown where an unknown man administered 5 consecutive days of lie detector tests. Quote, he said, if you fail these tests, they're going to throw you in the East River, end quote. Did you ever get thrown into the East River? Years later, in December 2011, Clark said she was in Los Angeles working for Combs when he arrived at her apartment. Livid and allegedly toting a gun, Combs had just come from a freak-off with Ventura. Let's stop right there. Diddy hopped right out of the pussy and went over her house with a strap. And discovered the R&B singer was dating Kid Cudi, real name Scott Muscudi. Get dressed. We're going to go kill that nigga. Did y'all go kill that nigga? Combs allegedly said. Clark said she was terrified, but when she tried to protest, Combs told her, I don't give a fuck what you want to do. Obeying, Clark claimed that as she rode in Combs' SUV with his driver over to Muscudi's Hollywood Hills home, the gun was visible in Combs' lap. She said she stayed in the car as Combs roamed around Muscudi's house, making a panic call to Ventura when he wasn't looking. Weeks later, in January 2012, Muscudi testified that after rebuffing Combs' attempts to talk about his fling with Ventura, he received a call that his Porsche had been firebombed. A hole was cut in the roof and a Molotov cocktail had been dropped into the driver's seat of the luxury vehicle, charring the car's interior and destroying the car. Ventura testified that Combs had earlier threatened to explode Miss Cudi's car in his driveway, and Miss Cudi said he suspected Combs had something to do with the arson attempt, but nobody had any evidence. The third alleged kidnapping incident occurred in January 2009, stemming from Combs allegedly stomping on Ventura's face in the back of a car after a night out. Quote, I never experienced anything like that before where I was getting really badly beaten, end quote, Ventura testified. Afterward, Ventura said Combs' security members had to sneak her into a hotel where she stayed for a week as her injuries healed. Although Ventura said she told Combs that she wanted to leave, Combs allegedly refused. Quote, I don't think I would have gotten out of there smoothly. AKA, she don't know. She didn't try to leave. So she can't say she was kidnapped. Ventura explained when questioned why she didn't just leave the hotel by herself. Quote, it was not safe. I didn't have just the resources I needed to get out and move and not have anybody stop me. Cap. The government's decision comes hours after they rested its case, which spanned 6 weeks and included tearful testimony from more than 30 witnesses. Now, they want me to believe that this is about not confusing the jury, but they had 30 people come talk to these niggas. Combs is accused of using his billion-dollar music, fashion, and liquor empire as a criminal enterprise. A team of loyal bodyguards, high-ranking staffers, and some assistants were allegedly tasked with carrying out their boss's demands, accused of committing acts of bribery, arson, kidnapping, witness tampering, and drug distribution between 2004 and 2024. So you hear this, people. So if you give drugs to your friends, they can come around later and call you a distro. That's why you shouldn't do drugs. Prosecutors claim that many of these alleged acts revolved around fostering Combs' tumultuous relationships with his girlfriends, who he is accused of sex trafficking. Right. Before Combs' defense team put on a 25-minute defense with no witnesses called on to the stand, Combs' attorney Alexandra Shapiro submitted a motion for a mistrial, claiming the government failed to meet its burden of proof across all 5 charges. Okay, let's stop there. So if she got up there for 25 minutes, you niggas took 30 days. She took 25 minutes. 25 minutes and made the shit real simple for the jury in 25 minutes. 25 minutes. She made the shit real simple. $25 minutes. And at the end of the 25 minutes, she said, I want to file this Rule 29 motion for a mistrial because the feds ain't proved shit. And the feds' response to this ain't, she's full of shit, Diddy's full of shit. Their response was, we're dropping some charges. Are y'all paying attention yet? Daniel Berry, what's happening? Are you niggas paying attention yet? Diddy's defense team took them 25 minutes to get the feds to drop charges, nigga. Keep moving the goalposts, bro. All you YouTubers that have stuck y'all flag in this shit, bro, explain to me how it took Diddy's defense team 25 motherfucking minutes to get these niggas to drop charges after they spent 30 witnesses. 30 witnesses. It took Diddy's team 25 minutes to get them to cancel Kid Cudi, Capricorn Clark. 25 minutes. $25 minutes. I ain't gonna lie. I was with y'all when I first heard that Diddy wasn't calling no defense witnesses. Cause y'all know I've been saying forever, I can't wait to see who they call. Them niggas got up there for 25 minutes, said we ain't calling nobody cause there's nobody we need to call. Cause why are we gonna refute something that ain't, what is there to refute? They said we was trafficking and all this shit and they've proven nothing. They had Kid Cudi come testify, even though the only evidence is they said that the fire wasn't consistent with a Molotov. The jury heard that. They said that the fire wasn't consistent with a Molotov cocktail. And then on top of that, they said all they found in there was female DNA. And we at LNC called all of this shit out every step of the way. Where's the trafficking? Where's the actual evidence? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where's the trafficking? These niggas took 25 motherfucking minutes to destroy the feds. And then, well, we can't really say this is a victory for Combs per se. Are you serious? They canceled out whole ass witnesses from 25 minutes of defense. I think the punishment was they was just gonna make Diddy sit down for this year and put him through this public shaming. That was because he got too big for his britches. He didn't want handlers no more. And they was like, nigga, that's not part of the deal. See, this is why I don't worry about numbers. If I wanted numbers, all I had to do was make video after video talking about how guilty Sean Combs is. And if you don't believe me, go look at the numbers of everybody who did that. Them niggas got up there for 25 minutes and LNC exclusive. LNC exclusive. I have Diddy's defense speaking on the case.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Yes, we do have audio of Diddy's lawyers talking to the feds.
Belt to ass. I guess we gon' survive the onslaught of this lawsuit. He got 22 days from the 5th. But boy, I know that he coming back to YouTube because he needs some help because his grip is gone. I might not have the lyrics, but I'm telling y'all that we're looking real strong, and I guess Duce, we ain't going nowhere. So this is what I'll say. You tried, they helped you, you failed. Good luck. Bye-bye. Dismiss. Get your ass out of here.
Verbatim. That's what these niggas told the feds. You tried, they helped you, you failed. Get your ass on out of here, nigga. Belt to ass. $25 minutes is belt to ass. I don't give a fuck, bro. I guess we gonna survive the onslaught of this lawsuit. It sounds like it, Diddy. This nigga, no matter what nigga said to me, I was not moving off my square. I know how this shit play out. Belt to ass. Morgan, good afternoon. Although typically a procedural motion, Shapiro took the opportunity to argue there was especially thin proof that Combs' employees had knowingly participated in crimes with or for Mr. Combs, other than picking up personal quantities of drugs. When it came to freak-offs, where the alleged sex trafficking took place, Shapiro claimed Combs and his girlfriends went out of their way to hide the details of Combs' personal sex life from his staffers, booking male escorts themselves. And Cassie testified. She was booking the motherfucking prostitutes. She was paying these niggas, and she would start fucking these niggas for Diddy even show up. The pros got up there and testified. Yeah, Diddy would come in at some point. And he was happening. Although typically a procedural motion, Shapiro took the opportunity to argue that, oh no, I read that. The assistants set up and cleaned hotel rooms, but they didn't know much, if anything, about what went on between Mr. Combs and his girlfriends in the hotel rooms, other than they used a lot of baby oil and Astroglide and drank alcohol and perhaps used drugs. I try to tell you niggas, bro, but you niggas didn't want to listen to me. Prosecutors want to dumb down elements of RICO charge, simplifying for jury's sake. Yeah, whatever it takes. In a stunning move the day before closing arguments in Diddy's federal criminal trial in New York City, prosecutors have pulled back on some key testimony during the trial, specifically attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. Prosecutors said in a letter to Judge Arun Subramanian. The government is following his honor's instructions to streamline the jury instructions. The reality, prosecutors seem to feel they've fallen flat on proving Diddy allegedly kidnapped former employee Capricorn Clark and Cassie. More surprising, prosecutors are not pursuing the attempted arson claim that Diddy blew up Kid Cudi's car in a jealous rage. During the trial, prosecutors never directly linked Diddy to the fire. Sure didn't. Both of these charges related to the racketeering or RICO charge Diddy faces. Sorry. As for the aiding and abetting sex trafficking charge, prosecutors don't explain what elements of sex trafficking they will 86 from the jury instructions. Prosecutors are not dropping the various sex trafficking charges, only elements of them, right? Because this is going to not confuse the jury. And specifically aiding and abetting. Prosecutors do say in their letter they want an instruction that just because women gave prior consent to sexual acts, it doesn't mean that it can never be withdrawn. L. Prosecutors also say jurors should be told just because a woman received compensation does not preclude a finding of forced labor. You paid me for work, but you still forced me to work. Right. And as for sex trafficking, prosecutors want jurors to know neither physical restraint of the alleged victims nor commercial sex acts are required to prove coercion in sex trafficking. To say that you and your girl be having threesomes, that she can claim that she was trafficked because you coerced her to have a threesome is crazy. Exactly. I feel you, stable genius. Case falls apart in 3, 2, 1. I wish I could sit here and say I'm surprised. I am in no way surprised because I told you niggas. They have no real case. I told you, if they wanted to say they had a case on this nigga for like domestic and shit like that, then they would have it. But instead, they have no real case. A nigga told you they had no real case. I told you. If they had a real case, they would have went there instead of all this roundabout shit. Multiple people they put on the stand. Remember when they put old girl up there from Dirty Money? Who after all that bullshit she talked, they proved what? That bitch tried to get Diddy to restart the group. Why'd you charge this nigga with domestic? You could have just put him in jail already. Sex trafficking. Now they're trying to be like, oh, nah, he was a drug distro. Right. In my personal opinion, this is just full opinion. There's no fact in what I'm saying. This is full opinion. I see no way that they get a unanimous jury guilty. The best the feds can hope for right now is a hung jury. That's it. They're not getting no unanimous Diddy's guilty. Cam? They are not getting a Diddy's guilty. They are not getting a unanimous. which is what they need. They're not getting that. Why do you, okay, let me show you another thing. Look at this. Prosecutors do say in their letter that they want an instruction that just because women gave prior consent to sexual acts, it does not mean that it can never be withdrawn. Why do the prosecutors want this instruction? Because they know the fucking jury's gonna be like, them hoes wanted to do this shit. Cassie told us that she was setting up this shit. We saw messages from Cassie saying that she missed freak offs. We saw messages from Cassie saying she missed freak offs. So that's why they like, well, just because they consented to it, this whole thing where it's just like, I just heard of a story today where a chick gave a nigga some pussy. Like basically hook up on some app or some shit, right? Then a few months later, because a chick told on her, because he was like, I'm worried about my sons because of girls like this. Almost a year later, the bitch goes, I met this guy and it's becoming serious. But since she's starting to feel shame from what she did that night with the guy months ago, she's coping with it by saying that he did rape her. And the girlfriend was just like, how you gonna say that nigga raped you when you called me after the fact and talked about the whole shebang? I'm just saying, bro. Like I said from day one, I ain't no fan of nobody like that to where I'm going to defend you doing crime. My whole thing with my channel and who I am is to tell the truth, even when the truth bothers you. Even when the truth isn't what the mainstream want, and even when the truth will put you on an island by yourself. This was never about defending Diddy. This was about showing y'all that they don't have this nigga on sex trafficking. And they're not going to get this nigga on sex trafficking. Because Cassie wasn't sex trafficked. Cassie was a money-hungry, fame-seeking bitch before Diddy. I try to show y'all that how she was with Ryan Leslie and all this shit and then upgraded to motherfucking Diddy. Then after Diddy force-fed her down everybody's throat and her career couldn't pop off, the only reason we know who this bitch even is because Diddy made a career for her. Now she's sitting in court talking about her career was stunted because of Diddy. That's why the defense on cross-examination pointed out was like, weren't you doing shit with all these artists and shit? Who hooked you up with them? Diddy. Oh, okay. No further questions. Y'all the same motherfuckers that try to tell me that her husband knew that niggas was pissing her mouth. Remember, Diddy nasty ass was having prostitutes pee on her. What did we find out? No, the prostitute said no. Cassie asked me to piss in her mouth.
Lord Jesus.
I said since day one, Diddy's guilty of a lot of shit. Sex trafficking ain't it. Every corner of this testimony, we've heard about one of the most toxic relationships I've ever heard of in my life. Toxicity on all sides, which doesn't excuse either side for either acts. Just toxic shit. And people that put up with their toxic ass relationship because they wanted money. Then when the money dried up for everybody, now everybody telling. Oh yeah, I saw him beat her ass, but everybody looked the other way for that money. Diddy ain't paying niggas no more. Now we telling. Simple. We got audio of Cassie threatening to kill a motherfucker. Her friend gets on the stand, admit that her and Cassie was doing drugs. They admit that Cassie was doing so much drugs that Diddy was like, can we have a freak off without you on the drugs? Y'all understand this is testimony on the record. This is real testimony on the record. There's testimony on the record that Diddy told Cassie to stop doing the drugs so they could have a freak off without the drugs. Cassie mama gets on the stand and say that Diddy extorted $30,000 on her, but she don't have a receipt. Oh, we had to mortgage this and mortgage that. No receipt. No receipt. Hold on, there's a package at the door. I gotta go to the door right quick. Oh. I'm back. And this is what I was thank you, Carefree. I was about to say that. This is what I was talking about when I'm like, look, nobody said anything publicly except who? Kanye. And I try to tell people that Kanye has just turned himself into the biggest troll ever because people just stopped believing much of anything he would say. And you just got to take everything step by step and see what he's on. Kanye shows up to court. Now look what done happened. And not to say like Kanye did this. No, I don't mean it like that. It's just certain people see what time it is. And I saw. Shit, Terrence Howard didn't show up to court. Terrence, and that was another proof of how crazy this shit was to me, was the moment that fucking Terrence Howard all of a sudden wanted to get away from talking all that shit about being, you know, the shit with talking all the shit with what do I want to call it? The earth and the 1 × 1 = 2, that shit. As soon as he realized that shit wasn't working, what did he pivot to? The shit that everybody wanted to hear. Diddy ain't shit. Diddy ain't shit. Yep, I went to his parties. Diddy try to fuck me, all this other shit. It was a failsafe for a lot of people. Several YouTubers was going in, swearing on their mama. Swearing on their motherfucking mama, bro. Now, I can't wait to see. This all I'm gonna be doing today. I'm going to be gauging everybody's reaction to this. That's all I'm gonna do. Gauge some reactions. You niggas did the shit for money and likes and views. Mine got me less. The more I talked and reported on Diddy, the less views and stuff we got, which, you know, I don't give a fuck. It ain't even 100 people in here now. I could have just talked about Jed and I'd have got about 150. I barely got up. I got straight out of the bed to this. And then now there's still going to be people today that's trying to tell you that, no, this is the feds trying to make it less confusing for the jury. That doesn't even make sense. How is it less confusing that you made me listen to a motherfucker Kid Cudi for a whole fucking day only to say never mind? Capricorn Clark gets up there and tells this whole ass story. They basically want to cut Kid Cudi out of all of this shit. Cassie gets on the stand and says, well, I don't think that I could ever cheat on Diddy because cheating on Diddy, that's not possible because we weren't married. Hey, fellas, some of y'all with y'all girls, y'all been together for like a year or 2 years, which y'all should go ahead and get married if y'all been together 2 years. That's too long. Like, what are you waiting for? Just be together. You look at the 2 year mark, which is extreme. I think it's really a year. At the 2 year mark, it's extreme. You're looking for a way out. Y'all should at least be engaged. But understand that if you're not engaged and you've been with your girl for like a year or two, I want you to try that shit. Try to fuck other bitches and say, I didn't think it was cheating because we not married. The best case you'll get out of that is your girl saying, well, we're going to get married today then. That would be your best case. The most likely case is she's going to lose her shit on you because what the fuck you mean we've been exclusive? Cassie gets up there and say that, and this bitch, and we supposed to believe this bitch was trafficked, even though she's cheated on Diddy every step of the way. She cheated on Diddy with Kid Cudi and all this other shit, and then she ended up now being married to who? To the nigga that Diddy was paying to be her personal trainer. She left Diddy for the personal trainer. And that's why they had that Diddy said, well, if he gonna be with you, gonna be with him, tell that nigga I want all my money back. Desiree was happening. Enjoy lunch. See, this is why I fuck with y'all. I don't need nobody else. We get more people, that's cool. Always grateful and thankful for whatever. But I just need everybody to understand view count, live count has nothing to do with whether or not I'm gonna tell the truth and give honest assessments of things. I will give honest assessment of things. It just didn't feel right. It never felt right to me. This is with me telling you every step of the way, because I wasn't one of them crazy motherfuckers that's like, oh, they just doing this to a black man or no shit. Like, never. That was never my thing. They just want to see another black mogul taken down. No. Because I told you, there's several things I think Diddy's guilty of. The feds just didn't charge him for any of it. I kept asking y'all, how are they proving RICO with one person? Name the other one-man RICO you've ever heard of in your life. Remember, Fat Joe shit looks like a RICO. I even told you, Fat Joe shit reads 1,000,000 times worse than Diddy's. They got the whole RICO tree set up. Joe at the top, you got these underlings, you got the crooked lawyer, you got this. That shit sound like The Wire. They got they Levy on the board. They got the hitters, Weebay, Stringer, shit, got these niggas on the board. They got audio tapes, all of this shit. Diddy, they like, yeah, Diddy's guilty of RICO by himself. Nobody else. And people like, well, they told. When have you ever heard everybody in a RICO being able to tell and get no jail time, also they can get one person? Oh, maybe you can get some lesser jail time, but you going to prison. I guess that we gonna survive the onslaught of this lawsuit. Mangione shot a motherfucker in the head. He still ain't guilty yet. And Diddy's lawyer and Mangione's lawyer are married. And they supposedly house together. And they lawyers are married. We've never even seen one jail picture of Diddy. We've seen nothing. I can't even confirm that that nigga's in some type of real prison like that. Last night I told you I'd be shocked if the judge went ahead and just granted the motion. Hashtag Shay was wrong. What shocked me is what the prosecution did this morning. And you know why the prosecution did it? Because they weren't going to be shocked if the judge granted the motion. That's the real reason they did this. This whole thing of, oh, they're doing it to simplify for the jury is fucking cap. They're doing this shit because they were scared that that Rule 29 motion might get Diddy acquitted right now without the jury. They at least want to give the jury a chance. And guess what? If the feds lose this case, their conviction percentage will not move. The lonely road us smart people walk. It's a lonely road. Taking personal feelings out, lonely road. It feels like a nigga did that shit. I'm with you. It feel like it. But you sitting on it, for all those that think Diddy guilty, you telling me you really think that Diddy did that shit? You really gonna find him guilty of sex trafficking if you were on the jury with that evidence? Like, Miss Nietzsche was having, like, this is crazy. Let me remind you, the jury also heard this because she is a victim of sex trafficking, but they also heard her say this.
Yeah, you don't have to see it, but it's my life and I'll kill you. No, I will kill you if you don't show me right now. I will kill you and I will hide you and I will cut you up and put you in the dirt right now. Pull it up. If you have it, pull that up. Because if not, I'm going to kill you and then he's going to kill you again. So just do it. Pull that up right now. You got that? Pull that up. I'm going to kill you. You don't understand. I don't give a fuck. I've never killed anybody in my life, but I will kill you because you're with me. You're with me in my life right now. If I saw a video of you doing anything that you didn't want people to see, I would show you the video so you could tell me what the happened. You're playing games with me, telling me you saw some. Now you're saying you didn't see some. You're with me. I'm going to you up. I don't think you understand. And it's not going to be my hands, and it's not going to be blood on my hands. Someone else is going to do it. So you have to tell me right now, and I'm recording this whole shit. FYI, tell me what the you're talking about. Because this is not cool. We're not playing. I'm not playing with you, Sujit. Like, you saw some. Yes, you're my brother. Be my brother and tell me what you saw. You're going to be able to find it?
Yep, sounds like she was sex trafficked. She sounded like the boss's bitch. If I got that type of power, that's how Christy would sound. Like, obviously, you know, we don't believe in doing evil, but that would be her place. And people will respect that. Why? Because they know that that's my girl. They said these niggas was together for 10 years, bro. Boston, what's happening, bro? Have a great day at work. "25 minutes. That's not shocking to you? 30-something witnesses. Or 30. Was it just a flat 30? We'll just say more than 29 to be safe. More than 29 witnesses. Okay? It took Diddy's team 25 minutes. Remember when Brian Steele from YSL joined the team? What did I tell y'all how y'all should look at that? Come on, let's talk about it. When he got the YSL nigga, what did I say then? I said, hey, y'all, why would Brian Steele join a case that he wasn't sure he would win after just getting one of the biggest victories he could have ever gotten in his whole career? He got Young Thug home on some shit that sounded way worse than this. Thug shit seemed like it was actually RICO. YSL seemed like it was a criminal organization. And I said that this nigga just won that shit And he's riding high with all of that. And he's going to come join Diddy shit and not be sure of the outcome. He's going to take this gamble after getting one of the biggest wins of his fucking career publicly. He's going to take this gamble. Or is it not a gamble? Can't wait to see what the defense put up. The defense was like, yeah. And here's the best part about that statement. My question is answered. I'm more shocked that how this played out. Because after 25 minutes and the niggas saying we found a Rule 29 motion, why would the feds go, hey, we dropping some shit? Y'all won, bro. You niggas, you won. Y'all wanted to be right about Diddy? Nigga, you right. Let's check out some of this shit.
And defense officially rested their cases in the Sean Combs criminal trial. The defense even tried to get all the charges thrown out before the jury even deliberates. And we hear from Sean Combs himself in open court about whether he will testify. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
Look at the big... When have they been able to draw this type of a smile on Diddy's face? They said over the last few days, Diddy's been in great spirits.
I'm Jesse Weber.
They try to get this nigga a life sentence based off a domestic violence relationship that was clearly a toxic relationship. Not him just like... It's just a great disservice to women that have to actually deal with the things that they trying to make it seem like. There's real women who deal with that shit, who have real toxic men that won't let them have cell phones. Remember, she had a burner phone she was cheating on this nigga on. She didn't even live with Diddy. I've never heard of an abusive relationship where the girl has her own place.
Hey, everybody, this is another long...
And then, let me let you go, Jesse. And then... I gotta hear Cassie complain about Diddy would show up unannounced. There's no such thing as unannounced when A, I'm your man, and B, I pay for all of this shit.
On crime legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots and were later diagnosed with a brain or spinal tumor called meningioma, you may...
Nigga, we not doing y'all class action shit, nigga.
And what a day it was. The prosecution officially rested their case on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, transportation to engage in prostitution. We heard the final testimony of the prosecution's final witness. After that concluded, the defense then argued under Rule 29 of the Federal Rules of Evidence that Combs is entitled to a judgment of acquittal, meaning there was nothing for the jury to decide. They should not be handed the case. There is insufficient evidence to support convictions on these charges. Fascinating arguments made by the defense. We're going to talk about them. And then from there, we heard the defense's case, and it was really, really short. The defense rested their case. So both sides rested their case. Oh, and by the way, how could I forget this? Sean Combs made a decision on whether or not he will testify. Spoke in open court. Actually, complimented the judge, by the way, believe it or not. So we're going to get into everything.
I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. I like that.
What did you say to the prosecution, Diddy?
I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. I like that.
Scrambling and scraping for shit.
Thing that happened today, a lot happened today. A lot to get into. Let me bring back on to Sidebar, Law and Crime's in-court reporter, Elizabeth Milner. Elizabeth, so good to see you. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to see each other during the lunchtime show that we always do during YouTube, because let me tell you, from our YouTubers, our viewers, so many compliments for you. So many compliments. And a lot of people...
Man, stop gassing this bitch up. Like, she cute, but like, her hair, she be struggling. She needs to wear hats.
Worried about you. Worried, are you having enough to eat? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you staying cool in the heat? So many concerned citizens that we have out there for Elizabeth Milner. But Elizabeth...
They trying to fuck.
You're doing a great job. Happy to have you on. Okay, so we begin the day with the continued cross-examination of this Homeland Security investigations agent, this summary witness for the prosecution, who literally condensed a vast amount of digital evidence into these summary charts. And first talk to me about what the defense had to say about messages of Jane, alleged victim 2 in this case. Remember, prosecutors say that Combs used force, fraud, or coercion to induce Jane into engaging in sex acts with male performers, that these happened in all different locations. There was a lot made about her messages, and I guess the idea is she actually a victim of sex trafficking?
Yeah, there were a lot of text messages that were read out loud to the jury once again. And I was kind of wondering, you know, Tini Garrigo said that the rest of her cross-examination would be maybe an hour to an hour and a half. No, it was a few hours as far as just finishing off the cross-examination for Special Agent Joseph Sorcilio. And so as far as just the messages that go between Jane and Sean Combs, Jane and Escort, again, it was just a lot of messages. But as far as the ones between Jane and Sean Combs, aka PD, aka Diddy, all of that stuff, the defense was talking about how these alleged instances, that being the text messages that were read aloud in court, were actually coming after instances of alleged sex trafficking, according to the government's chart, because the way the government had their chart all mapped out was that there were these particular dates, flights that were associated with it, the financial records also associated with it. But the defense was kind of like, well, she's saying that she had a good night or she had a good time, those types of things. So, for example, there was one text message that was read out loud. It was around Christmas Eve. Didn't quite catch what year it was, but Sean Combs is saying to Jane that SHIT was so effing sexy, and Jane responds, "It keeps getting better. There was so much sexual tension. Did you love it, baby?" And Sean Combs responds, "I loved it." And then Jane is responding, "Sheesh," and she puts a whole bunch of emojis in these text messages. There are other text messages from April 4th of 2022 between Jane and Sean Combs, where Jane is saying, "So what do you want to do? I'm horny AF." And Sean Combs responds, "I've been having fantasies about you and Leo." And Jane says, "I haven't had you all to myself in 5 months." Sean Combs responds, "See if the Italian is free tonight." And then Jane responds, "See you around 6:37, want to get dinner." Sean Combs responds, "Okay, where do you want to eat at?" And again, I'm always kind of paraphrasing when reading these messages because there are a lot of texts that are shown to the jury. But even a couple days later, on April 7th of 2022, Sean Combs is writing to Jane, "Checking on you, Adderall is the greatest." And Jane responds, "Still thinking about you," sends a whole bunch of drooling and kissy emoji faces, all of that stuff in these messages. So I think it's another point of the defense kind of pointing out that Jane was completely fine doing these hotel nights, to the point where she was even saying these lovey-dovey things not only to Sean Combs but also to escorts too. But as far as her text messages go with just Sean Combs, there were other texts that were read out loud where Jane says, "I feel mangled too, I'm beat," and Sean Combs is saying maybe something was off with that batch, I think kind of alluding to drugs in these particular texts. Then there were text messages from August of 2022 where Jane is saying, "My place is free tonight." Sean Combs is saying, "Call me," and then Jane responds in kind of a sexually explicit way, and she said, "I had so much fun, love you, I'll never take you for granted, my love is unconditional and for life." And then Sean Combs responds with bitmojis or emojis. He kind of responded with some type of character, because when you think about it, Jesse, I'm just writing all these down by the way Tini Garrigos is reading these messages out loud, as opposed to seeing these on the exhibit screen, mainly because this has to do with Jane, and obviously with sensitive information possibly being in these text messages that might have possibly not been redacted. I'm just taking all this information as it's being read. So there was a lot more context into these messages outside of just, you know, "I love you too, I'm mangled, I'm beat," all of that stuff. And so even more messages from January of 2023 where Jane is writing to Sean Combs, "Love you, baby, hope you have a good night, I'm so in love with you." And again, all of these messages are kind of coming either before or after these instances that the government is alleging were acts of sex trafficking. That's what the government was kind of trying to prove with that entire flight summary chart. And then the defense is kind of like, well, in between these dates of when these alleged sexual or sex trafficking had occurred, she's writing these messages of love to Sean Combs, who is allegedly, you know, her sex trafficker. And so these were just some of the messages that were read out loud in court. Another one from May 15th of 2023 where Jane says, "I'm just here, baby, showering now." Sean Combs responds, "Me and Paul are working out, then we can come over." Jane says, "You can come here, it's fine, I just wanted to see you." And other messages even from Jane to Sean Combs a couple days later where she's saying, "I love you so much, baby, good luck on your interview." interview. And again, the defense claiming this is after she was allegedly trafficked. That's the argument that the government is kind of making. And so, again, these were just some of the messages that were read out loud. Others include Sean Combs saying, P's not free tonight, P in reference to Paul. Jane is saying, really, I thought he was there with you. I can reach out to the Italian. Sean Combs says, no need, I just want to see you. Jane says, okay, baby, I just wanted to see you regardless.
L. She tried to get another piece of dick, and Diddy's like, nah, I just want to see you myself tonight. Because, you know, sex trafficking.
Sean Combs says, okay, party back on. And Jane says, do you want me to surprise you? Got Italian at 2 a.m. And then Sean Combs responds, did you get Chef? And Chef, I think, is actually kind of a nickname that they gave for Cabral, one of the entertainers that they used. And then Jane says, you know, I was trying for my chefy poo. And so these are, again, were just some of the messages that were read out loud, just as the defense kind of points out that these were lovey-dovey text messages that were sent, as far as showing that Jane may have been willfully participating in these hotel nights, that these weren't against her will, she wasn't sex trafficked by coercion or fraud or anything that the government is alleging, because of these text messages that the defense really wanted to make sure that they showed the jury before the jury eventually gets the closing arguments, which are happening later this week.
And that she had a sense of agency and choice, because if Combs writes her, if she says to him, you know, baby, I want to make love to you. I haven't selfishly had you to myself for 5 months. And she goes, I'm fine with the other stuff, but I really just need you right now. And he replies, okay, whatever you want.
Then the answer is... every step of the way, I asked, where is the sex trafficking?
That doesn't fit neatly into the concept of him being a sex trafficker.
Facts.
Using illegal means to force her into commercial sex acts. And, you know, the defense making the point, these charts, sure, they're useful for the prosecution, but they're not complete. They don't provide the full context of the relationship and the situation. Now, I also understand there were messages from Jane with this male performer, and I think these are significant too. Talk to us about these messages between Jane, and I think the name is Sly or Cabral, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, Cabral is a name that these jurors have heard over and over again when it comes to Jane, mainly because Cabral was an entertainer that Sean Combs and Jane had used in their hotel nights or nights of debauchery, Wild King nights, whatever.
Nights of debauchery is outrageous.
We're calling them. So there were a lot of messages that were shown that the defense was kind of pointing out that Jane had these communications with these entertainers too. So for example, the flight summary chart before they had turned the gallery screens completely off, we saw that there was one of the rows for this particular chart was from December 17th of 2021 through December 21st of 2021. It was at the one hotel in Miami, Florida. And the people that were kind of associated with that particular booking were Jane, Sean Combs, Cabral, and another entertainer named Don. And so the jury was able to see some of the financial transactions for this particular hotel night. That included $800 cash app for Don, $550 cash app for Don. But then the text message.
Whose name was the cash app in?
Were associated with Cabral. So again, that being in that same time frame of mid-December of 2021, where Jane is messaging Cabral, elaborate on intense. And this was after Cabral had sent some messages saying that they had a very intense night. Cabral responds, you were talking so dirty to me. Jane responds, send me something as far as like a picture goes. And then Cabral said, most definitely, it gets better and better. And then Jane says, damn, baby, you got me so hot, want to come back tomorrow. Cabral responds, baby, I would love to, but I'm busy with Christmas stuff. And then Jane sends some emojis with some eyes, and then she says, please. And, you know, a lot of these messages included emojis, which included these next messages from...
Nigga, look, I'm mad than a motherfucker right now. Hold on. Why the court reporter draw that big ass motherfucking glare of light on this bitch forehead? Y'all ain't shit, bro.
January 1st of 2022, so just a couple weeks later, where Jane is messaging Cabral, are you free to travel today? She sends 4 heart emojis, here's your flight information, and then she says later along the lines in these messages, excited to see you. Cabral responds, excited to see you as well. Jane says the next day, hey babe, how far are you? Cabral says, I'll be there soon. Jane says, can't wait to see you. And then Cabral responds, on the way, baby, and sends some heart emojis too.
Wow.
And these, again, just some of the instances of text messages where I think the defense was really trying to point out that Jane had these relationships, or at least was in friendly communication with these entertainers too. Whereas Jane, when she was testifying, especially testifying on behalf of the government, she was saying that anytime she was messaging these entertainers, it was because Sean Combs was near and around her, kind of forcing her to message these entertainers. But
Which is clearly cap at this juncture.
I think the defense using these messages show that she did this even outside of being around Sean Combs. So then there were messages from November 5th of 2022. So people have been following this case pretty closely. They know it's around the time of Sean Combs' birthday, that being, I think, November 4th. And so Jane messages Paul, another entertainer that they use, where Jane says, hey, are you free? It's for his birthday. Paul responds that he was out of town, but then he ended up traveling back. And then Jane says, hey, P, have you landed? Do you need the Addy? Addy as in address, not Adderall or anything like that. And then Paul responds, just landed. And then Jane says, come over to wherever she is. And then Paul responds, 5 minutes away. And so there were even just messages in terms of Jane kind of planning these hotel nights in terms of her reaching out to these entertainers and in order to kind of help book their travel or get things going so that way they could attend these hotel nights. Where there was another example, these are text messages between Jane and Paul around March of 2023 when they were going on that Turks and Caicos trip that Jane had testified about when she was testifying in this trial, where Jane texted Paul, hey love, are you available? I wanted to put something together for Sean. She later says, you're unavailable and it was because of these certain days, just kind of clarifying what days he was available in order to come out to Turks and Caicos with them. And then Paul responds yes in terms of the dates that he was available. And then Jane responds, and this is another text message from the month after, so when they came back from their Turks and Caicos trips, where Jane says to Paul, hey Paul, good morning. Sean texted me Thursday. What time do you leave? Also, are you available on Wednesday? And so I think, again, the defense really kind of pointing out that she was one to be reaching out to these entertainers or escorts. Again, these are just some of them, because there was one message in particular, Jesse, where Jane messaged to Cabral, and this is where I say, like, he's also kind of nicknamed the chef, because she told him, how much would it cost for you to miss out on these chef gigs? And I think the defense pointing out here that they wanted to bring Cabral over for kind of a hotel night, and she was even willing to pay him, possibly through Sean Combs, possibly through whoever, in order to get Cabral to miss one of his professional work gigs, that being a gig that he had for cooking, pretty much, in order to come to attend to these hotel nights too.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things to take away from that. Obviously, it's not great evidence for the prosecution. It makes their case a lot more gray, not black and white, but gray. Having said that, it's interesting when we're following this, and I'm looking at the comments on social media, there are a lot of people who say this doesn't negate the fact that this could have been non-consensual, that as this has been explored already in the prosecution's case, the abuser-victim relationship can be a lot more complicated. And when we talk about consent, is something really consensual if somebody has financial control over you, or there is pressure, or there's a power imbalance? Those are all considerations the jury has to make, whether it's Cassie or Jane. Having said it, these messages really complicate it for the prosecution. And
exactly.
This is not a clean-cut case of a sex trafficker and victim, as we've seen in other prosecutions.
She sounds like the trafficker. Talk plain, eyes open.
Was the jury shown more videos today, sexually explicit videos?
They definitely were. Now, initially, Tini Garagos was going to show these videos bright and early this morning, literally at the start of the trial day, but there were some technical difficulties. They had some issues with the headphones. They had to charge them, all of that stuff. So they didn't see them bright and early, which I think might have been a good thing. But then at the same time, they showed them right before lunch. So it's like, honestly, I kind of felt bad for them. It was either show them right at the beginning of the day or show them right before they go to lunch. But they did show those sexually explicit videos once again. And these particular ones, from my understanding, were the ones featuring Sean Combs, Jane, and whoever entertainer that they were using. And so there were moments that they were showing these videos, not as long as they were doing, I think, the other days, but long enough for, I think, the jury to kind of get the point of where these videos are and what these videos were about. out, but they were able to see them. And from what I could tell, Jesse, just their reaction, I don't know if they're kind of maybe tired of seeing these sexually explicit videos and are kind of like, why are they showing so many of them? Because even though we think of them as like 30 seconds here, a minute.
So the jury's tired of seeing this bullshit. Got you. Jazz, what's happening?
There, it's still a long amount of time to be seeing these types of videos. But from what I could tell and from what I could see of the jury, they seemed, don't want to say the word engaged, but they seemed like they were just, you know, watching the exhibits, watching the sexually explicit video. From what I could tell from where I was sitting inside the courtroom, not having any type of, again, visible reaction from what I could see. But I did peek at one juror who I feel like, again, he was that same one kind of sitting towards the end where, like, I feel like he couldn't take his headphones off fast enough, because I can only imagine how uncomfortable it is for the jury to be watching these types of videos in open court as a lot.
Especially if you feel like these videos are just some consenting adults having sex. And the crazy part about it is you got to understand that a lot of people can watch some sex that they don't agree with, and they would never do that type of shit, but still not find it illegal just because they wouldn't do it.
A lot of people are staring at them to see their reaction because, you know, for everyone who doesn't know, again, these aren't stuff that we in the public or in the media and that part of the gallery are seeing. It's really only the jury, the parties, the witness, and the judge who are watching these videos. And so everybody's eyes are pretty much either on Sean Combs or the jury, trying to get some type of reaction from either of them. And for the most part, as far as the jury is concerned, I didn't see much of a reaction from them outside of probably just wanting the videos to be over and done with.
It seems to me the defense may be showing these videos, and again, I don't know what the videos actually show, but if you are seeing an enthusiastic Jane, if these videos don't show any outward signs of reluctance or pressure or coercion or duress, you could
you're fucked.
See why the defense is showing them. Prosecution, I think they had to show them a lot to say, hey, we've established the payments, we've established the travel, you've heard testimony about these events happening. This is proof. We got video proof these hotel nights or these freak-offs actually happen. One of the things we have to establish is these events actually happen. And maybe there are instances in these videos where Sean Combs is directing the sex workers, or the male performers, or the alleged victims into doing things, and it goes into the coercion aspect of it. But again, we don't know. We haven't seen the videos. Now, I will tell you, and I think this is key, this is something that was brought up later by the defense. Wasn't there evidence during the cross-examination of this Homeland Security investigations agent to suggest that Sean Combs was making an effort to actively not involve his staff, his inner circle, in all of these sexual episodes, which...
So if they are able to prove that, you know what that means, right? The complete RICO case is dead. Because for them to get the conspiracy and all of that shit, they need all of his employees and stuff to be helping with the shit. So now it's out there that, oh yeah, they were cleaning up, they were setting up the rooms before and after, but they had no clue what was going on in the rooms.
If that's the case, would really hurt the racketeering charge, right? Because the prosecution wants to say there was a criminal enterprise.
Hashtag Shay was right.
He used his staff, he used his inner circle to facilitate freak-offs and Wild King nights and hotel nights. They were an integral part of it. They were setting it all up. They knew these were criminal activities. They were covering it all up, whatever it is. But wasn't there evidence and messages to suggest he didn't want them involved? And this was more, I guess, personal than you know, him using his businesses or him using his resources or him using his staff to set it all up. And
that changes everything.
Do all of it?
Honestly, Jesse, throughout this trial, it's been kind of mixed messaging on how much the staff really knew about what was going on in these hotel nights or Wild King nights. But it seems like from the defense's perspective that there was kind of this effort to conceal it from his staff, from his assistants, so that way they would.
Right. That's how we don't have any real stories. That's why all this shit coming out now, because assistants and shit are so low level, you can't trust them with any type of information like that.
wouldn't know. So in terms of Jane messaging Paul to come over after the butlers are gone again, so that way they could kind of conceal that he was over and they were about to engage in, you know, sex acts or a hotel night, those types of things. Or even Sean Combs messaging Paul, hold up, the staff is outside, they leave now, hang tight. Sean Combs also messaging Jane, I can't have KK know, damn. And Combs also messaging Jane saying, hit me when the coast is clear. Jane also sending messages to Joey is gone and the Italian is pulling up, excuse me. And then even Sean Combs back to Jane.
Ooh, the Italian stallion, Rocky?
Saying maybe 9:30 so he doesn't run into anyone. So again, just kind of alluding to the fact that there was kind of this effort between Sean Combs and Jane to really kind of conceal these entertainers, especially when they were over at Sean Combs's home, which is interesting because at some points they were saying, okay, well, he didn't want the staff to know that these hotel nights were happening at Sean Combs' home, especially after the Cassie lawsuit, which is possibly why that they moved these over to Jane's residence, where they don't have all these assistants and butlers and house managers and all this staff coming over and kind of knowing all that this is about. But I do think it kind of does poke holes in the government's case where they're claiming that it's this giant big conspiracy that all the staff knew, all the staff was helping conceal up what was going on in these hotel nights.
But they knew this. That's why they only charged Diddy. They wanted to allude that all of that shit was happening, but they had no evidence to charge anybody else. That's why nobody else got locked up. It's not surprising to me. It's not surprising to me at all. I've been asking y'all, why they only locked Diddy up? Because if they come lock Fat Joe up based off of that case, they locking up more than Fat Joe. They alluded to, yeah, Diddy had them motherfuckers set up the room. Yeah, he would have them come clean up the room, but they never knew what actually happened in the room.
Wild King nights, but it seems like from what the defense was pointing out with these particular messages, that it seems that there was, again, this big effort to really kind of conceal what was happening, you know, as the defense claims that this was just something that he did privately. He didn't want his staff to know about this, as opposed to what the government is alleging, where they believe that this has been just a giant conspiracy in order to keep Sean Combs up at the top of his alleged criminal enterprise, I should say.
By the way, like when there's messages where he didn't want Christina Coram to know what was going on, his former chief of staff, do we know why he didn't want her to know? I mean, the message, I can't have KK know, damn. Why?
Yeah, that wasn't necessary.
Because he probably knows she a snitch. Because he probably know that she got a big mouth.
Necessarily clear as to why, but I do remember even after the Cassie lawsuit had dropped that the defense really kind of pointed out these particular messages where Christina Coram is saying things along the lines of, you know, you shouldn't have lied to me, you should have told me everything. And I'm wondering, does it have to do with maybe her not being fully in the know of what was going on in these Wild King night or hotel nights? Because
he knows that she got a big mouth.
If I was a juror on this case, that would kind of linger through my mind. How much did Christina Coram, who hasn't testified on behalf of the government, who hasn't testified on behalf of the defense, like what did she truly know, as the government claims she was a co-conspirator? But it seems like what the defense is pointing out with these messages is that it seemed like at some points in this, according to the defense's argument, that maybe Christina Coram really didn't know all that was entailed in these hotel nights, really that their job was just kind of to set it up in terms of just bringing the guests over, or candles and lights, nothing that was happening, anything close to alleged sex trafficking behind these closed doors at these hotel nights, or in cases of them being at Jane's residence or Sean Combs' residence. It didn't seem like from these messages that maybe she didn't know the full scope of what was really going on.
And I know that the prosecution had an opportunity to redirect this witness, and it seemed to me they were basically like, what? Yeah, these charts don't include every text message in this case. And I think at one point, didn't they even try to say, hey, this is a clear evidence of transportation to engage in prostitution, right? Don't we have evidence that Sean Combs transported this sex worker or sex workers for purposes of prostitution? And I think there was an objection. I think they were really trying to hit the point. I've always said, I think those two charges where it's literally transporting sex workers and alleged victims across state lines for the purposes of prostitution, it feels like more of a slam dunk kind of case. Isn't that what they tried to hit home when they redirected him?
Yeah, they try to bring it back a little bit, but
L.
of course, there were going to be a bunch of objections from the defense because right off the gate, AUSA Maureen Comey was like, okay, did those financial records show that Sean Combs paid for transporting people across state lines? The defense, that being Tenny Garrigo, stood up and was, or I think she might have been sitting down in this particular instance, but she was just kind of like, objection, Your Honor. Again, the government really kind of trying to point like that he was paying for people to be transported across state lines. They were really trying to get that question in as they started their redirect, but then there was a bunch of objections by the defense. And so those objections were sustained by the judge. And so then Maureen Comey was just like, okay, well, did they show that they being the records, did the record show that Sean Combs paid for travel? The witness replies, yes.
Of course not, Ravens. That's the whole reason why they won't go after these places. This is why I keep asking. If Diddy trafficked the prostitutes, how come the agency didn't traffic them? Stop playing.
Did you recall texts? Are they every single text or what you were just shown? And then the witness replied, what I was just
Cam, what's happening?
shown. And this was something that they even talked about during his direct examination, where he was only given the exhibits that the government gave him. It wasn't like he was doing a really big investigation on this, that he did this independently. It was really just all the exhibits, the messages, the videos, everything that goes with it that was handed to him by the government. And so the government then pulls up messages from around the time frame of Cassie's lawsuit. Then there was a sidebar. And then I was thinking at that point, the jury looks tired. They were just going through so many messages by this point. But then the government kind of ended by saying, you know, they brought up the June 18th/19th, 2024 incident where Jane was allegedly physically assaulted by Sean Combs at her home, that the government says, okay, well, were the texts after this incident happened, were they loving in nature? And then the witness was like, they weren't loving in nature. And then that's where they kind of ended with their last witness, because soon afterwards, the government rested their case.
And let's talk about that. So the government rested their case, and then as expected, the defense moved for a Rule 29 motion for judgment of acquittal. Again, basically, the idea is there is nothing for the jury to decide, Judge.
I agree. There is nothing for them to decide as far as sex trafficking is concerned, in my opinion. Shit, Raven, this is a free country. Say what you want.
Insufficient evidence to sustain a conviction. And it's interesting, the arguments, because it kind of gives us a preview of what the defense's closing arguments would be. And honestly, I don't mean to toot.
I'm mad they got Cowboys for Angels on the screen. Y'all, these sketch artists is outrageous.
My own horn, but, or our horn, I should say. It is stuff, it is arguments we have anticipated, we have been bringing up, we have been making for the past 7 weeks. So let's take it piece by piece. What were the arguments from the defense regarding racketeering conspiracy? Why do they say there is insufficient evidence to sustain a conviction on racketeering conspiracy?
Well, like I tell you guys, every single time when there are arguments that happen outside of the presence of the jury, that's when you can really see everybody in action in kind of their true form. They're not playing it up for the jury, none of that. But it's interesting because this motion was done by Alexandra Shapiro, somebody that the jury hasn't seen in action in terms of cross-examining a witness, none of that sort. So, you know, I like seeing Alexandra Shapiro kind of in action whenever she's making arguments on behalf of the defense. But she did have a lot of arguments to really kind of go for this motion, that being the judgment for acquittal. And so right off the gate, they really got into the RICO part where the defense is like, okay, well, the government hasn't proved their case from count 1 to count 5. Under count 1, Mr. Combs is entitled to judgment of acquittal because the government must prove that Combs worked with others.
Elite indeed.
And pattern of racketeering. She alleges that the government hasn't proved it, that the agreement was to violate RICO, but instead the government alleges that there were 8 patterns of racketeering and the proof is deficient. She says the enterprise must be more than a group of people. And she said the relationships need to tie the enterprise together. She said that these crimes are really in relation to his girlfriends and his private time that happened at, you know, hotel rooms. And she says there's insufficient proof of the RICO indictment. The evidence doesn't show Mr. Combs conspired with anyone. She says that the only thing that the employees did was help with travel arrangements for the girlfriends or procuring maybe a small amount of personal use drugs.
Not a one.
And so she had said that the only thing the employees knew was that he liked baby oil, Astroglide, and he liked alcohol. And
sounds illegal to me.
And so the defense brought up, Brendan Paul's testimony, Jonathan Perez's testimony, David James's testimony. These were all assistants that testified as government.
The amount of adults who've used baby oil, Astroglide, and alcohol, but for some reason when Diddy did it, niggas.
Government witnesses, and she said that all three of them had kind of mentioned that they thought these hotel nights were personal in nature. And so in terms of even just the escorts or entertainers that were booked, they were booked by a combination of Cassie, Jane, and even Sean Combs, something that they did admit to, but they say that there was no employees that were helping with the booking.
Rico over. Rico over. Y'all can't even prove that. That's why ain't nobody else up here. They have no Diddy and his. Diddy's a rich ass nigga, and him and whatever girls he decided to get with would be in some freaky ass shit. And a lot of people who do a lot of freaky ass shit want to keep that shit as close to the vest as possible. This shit where Diddy had all of his bodyguards and all this shit setting this shit up is wild. Even though Gene Deal told you a lot of time, Gene Deal was guessing shit. Because what did Gene Deal tell you? When he was working for Diddy, he only went up to a certain door. He would be at the door. He knew Diddy would be in there, but he never got to go in there, and then Diddy would come out. This is why I told y'all Gene Deal, you can't believe shit he said, because he admits that he was never in the rooms. He would just allude to certain shit and imply, which you can't do. You got to have actual proof, and you've had to actually see it yourself.
And so then the defense mentioned that Diddy was not even wanting Christina Coram to know that Paul was even coming over to his home, something that was talked about in those text messages too. And she said that there was numerous evidence showing that the employees helped Cassie more so than Sean Combs in terms of just, if they're
fact.
for building up this enterprise in order to benefit Sean Combs specifically. The defense points out there was plenty of instances where they helped out Cassie specifically instead of Sean Combs, such as D-Rock and his wife April, and even Christina Coram, and how they protected her from Sean Combs' anger. The defense also pointed out that the employees didn't know that sex crimes were going on, that Christina Coram, even though she's been a name that's been mentioned throughout this duration of this trial pretty much, that Christina Coram, that there was no evidence that she believed his girlfriends were being coerced, and that if he did want drugs, again, it was only for a small personal use. It wasn't with the intent to distribute or sell, nothing like that. And then the defense was like, well, there's evidence that he was lying to her. And they kind of point back to that message from Christina Coram to Sean Combs again after Cassie's lawsuit, where she had mentioned, if you're lying to me, this isn't going to work. That's how we got to where we are now. And so the defense is like, Christina Coram, she didn't appear in the evidence till March of 2016, but the conspiring, according to the government's indictment, goes all the way back years prior to Christina Coram even kind of showing up in the evidence. And the defense is like, it doesn't work that way, where you can just kind of put a co-conspirator in the middle of this alleged enterprise and the dates that these enterprise was running and just be like, here, jury, this is a criminal, that type of thing. And so
this is what I try to tell y'all from day one. When I read the indictment and read the charges on this stream, I said this shit flimsy, and what they're charging him with, you're overcharging him, and you're not even charging him with the shit we can see that he's guilty of, like beating Cassie's ass. All these charges, but y'all ain't charging with that.
Then Alexandra Shapiro kind of broke down the RICO, because, RICO is not just RICO. It's all these different predicate acts that, even I myself am just having to remember that there is a few in there. And so it's something that the jury will have to consider, such as bribery, where the defense kind of pointed out, the trial showed that there was no evidence of Combs committing bribery in terms of preventing a witness from going to law enforcement or going.
None. Nobody. We can't point to anybody that's like, Diddy offered them money to not testify. We don't have any evidence of this.
to police because they brought up the March 2016 incident at the Intercontinental Hotel, that they were pretty much alleging that Sean Combs paying Eddie Garcia that $100,000 for the tape of the surveillance video from that incident wasn't because they were preventing Eddie Garcia from going to the police or Officer Israel Flores, who had testified as one of the first witnesses, that these discussions weren't about them not going to the police. These discussions were more so about preventing this tape from getting out because Cassie didn't want police to be called, but Cassie didn't want the bad press that might have been associated with this tape getting out, but neither did Sean Combs. And so they're alleging that that doesn't kind of fall under bribery, especially under RICO. And so then they kind of get into the obstruction and witness tampering in terms of Jane and Mia, where the messages that Mia had testified to after Cassie's lawsuit was filed and about D-Rock messaging her shortly afterwards, where Mia was kind of like, I think that D-Rock was trying to set something up for me in terms of money because he was trying to get me on the phone with Sean Combs, or Puff as she calls him. Mia was actually, this is
simple as that. Christina Coram was in charge of business, not the personal life. Exactly. This is like you, just because somebody's your agent you talk to every day in the NBA, you fucking hoes around them, or you telling them about all them hoes? No, because they can't be trusted like that.
According to the defense, that Mia was actually excited to talk to D-Rock, and the defense kind of points back to her testimony for that particular part. Then the defense claimed that Sean Combs was just trying to get in touch with her just because. It wasn't that there was a reason in terms of obstruction or witness tampering, because the defense pointed out that Mia sent a particular message to D-Rock talking about how she was out of money or Skrilla or something like that.
Right,
and
quick.
so the defense was like, well, the government characterized these messages as nice, and that Alexandra Shapiro was like, there is no evidence Mr. Combs was aware of a federal investigation happening around this time frame in terms of when he was reaching out to Mia, that being in late 2023 up until I think February of 2024, when they just stopped communication altogether and he stopped trying to reach out with her. But even in terms of the obstruction and witness tampering in relation to Jane, according to the defense, they were talking about that recorded conversation after Cassie's lawsuit was filed too. And Alexandra Shapiro said Mr. Combs made statements like, what do I need to do to make you feel better? How can I be there for you?
You know, typical ex-boyfriend talk. Typical toxic ex-boyfriend talk. That's the thing about the most toxic relationships. It could be like 4 or 5 years down the line and these motherfuckers will fuck around again. Am I lying? The motherfuckers that are the most toxic, man, you can catch them motherfuckers 2-3 years later, boyfriend, girlfriend, and it'll still go down.
And then Jane had testified that Sean Combs acted this way all the time. And so the defense was like, okay, well, Jane thought that this call was about her rent, but he was already paying for her rent around this time frame. So there's no suggestion that Jane was even going to go to law enforcement around this time. And even in terms of just forced labor, Jesse, they were kind of saying, you know, this case is different from other forced labor cases. And I think they kind of had a little bit of a strong argument here where they say the statute normally talks about immigrant workers, their living situation, etc. Whereas it's kind of different cases here. Whereas Capricorn Clark, Mia, Jane, and Cassie, according to the defense, it all suggested that they were all victims of forced labor. And the defense says that these are able-bodied United States citizens. And they say despite the abusive behavior, they continue to stay, and that they didn't leave because of this abusive behavior. They left for other reasons, because they said Capricorn Clark brought up the lie detector incidents, but she still kept on working for Sean Combs. And even in terms of her talking about overtime pay and whether or not that falls under forced labor, the defense says not being paid overtime doesn't equal forced labor. So then the defense claims that Capricorn Clark actually left her job after being pushed by Sean Combs, and that is the reason that she left, not because of forced labor or anything like that, and that Capricorn Clark still wanted to work for Sean Combs because the defense brought up her wrongful termination, but that Capricorn Clark still wanted to work for Sean Combs.
Capricorn Clark kidnapped all this shit, but still wanted to work for that nigga. The girls from Dirty Money. Oh, Diddy did all this fucked up shit, but I still wanted to work with Diddy. The bitch gonna be like, I hit Diddy to see if he wanted to get the group back together. I thought this nigga did, bro. I called all of this shit. I called all of this shit. And if you've been here, you know I did.
And then even in terms of forced labor in relation to Mia, they say that those elements weren't met. And then they were kind of talking about forced labor in terms of Jane and Cassie, but they also argued, if the evidence is sufficient to sex trafficking, they also don't apply to forced labor. But I think the big ones, for me at least, were kidnapping and arson. I kind of wanted to hear what the defense had to say about those two predicate acts, where in terms of kidnapping, they were talking about the Capricorn Clark incident, about her being kind of held, according to her, against her will to take all these lie detector tests whenever she was accused of stealing jewelry. But the defense says that there was no evidence that Mr. Combs even knew about this, that he only knew that the jewelry was missing and that her communications, her being Capricorn Clark, were really with Paul Alford.
They can't prove shit.
AKA Uncle Paulie, one of the security guards and the administrator of the lie detector test. The defense pointed out Capricorn Clark testified that she voluntarily continued to take these lie detector tests, and she took them for about 5 days back to back to back, and that she again did this voluntarily. She didn't do this and she wasn't being held against her will, none of that stuff.
And that's why the feds dropped the kidnapping.
Even in terms of Cassie being allegedly held in the London hotel after an incident of physical violence, the defense says that there's no evidence that force was used in order to take her to this hotel, that she could have.
And then after the defense say all this, the very next day, the feds agree with the defense and drop it. And y'all niggas, bro, y'all got it, man.
Left this hotel at any time, so it doesn't fall under kidnapping, none of that. And of course, the big thing being arson in relation to Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi.
Because this is from yesterday. It's almost like everybody knew what was going to happen today.
And the Molotov cocktail that was lodged into his car. The defense says that there's no evidence that Mr. Combs participated in this event in terms of the Molotov cocktail because, again, the defense pointing out there was female DNA found on that Molotov cocktail.
Who's the female?
Not male DNA either.
And here's what's interesting about this. The judge can look back and say, I'm not dismissing the racketeering charge, but I'll tell you what, some of those underlying predicate crimes, I might strike those. Remember.
So I was like, we'll take it down before the judge strikes it. Because that's when they say it would be less confusing, they lying. They want to take it down because if the judge strike any of this shit, it's definitely a wrap with the jury.
What's happening here? So, and I think that you hit a number of different angles. Defense is saying, first of all, there's no criminal enterprise. There's no criminal agreement. There's no common purpose, like you said, with respect to what the assistants knew or didn't know. And the prosecution also needs to prove at least two underlying predicate crimes. So they want to have forced labor. They want to have arson, kidnapping, sex trafficking, bribery, drug offenses. But the judge might say, you know what, with respect to some of them, I agree. I don't think there's enough evidence there to establish it. I'm going to strike those. So it gives the jury less options to find him guilty of racketeering. It gives the prosecution less options to argue when it comes to a closing argument. And by the way, it goes back to a question we got earlier today during the lunch show. Somebody had said, how come the jury just doesn't get the jury instructions at the beginning of the case as opposed to the end of the case? Well, let's see what's presented. Let's see what's actually shown during the course of the trial. There might be insufficient evidence.
Exactly.
To actually move forward with some of these charges or some of these elements. So it's interesting. Now, what about sex trafficking? What were the arguments that the defense made for why the sex trafficking should be thrown out? And by the way, let me just say this. For the prosecution's point of view, they are arguing that Jane and Cassie were victims of sex trafficking, that Combs used force, fraud, or coercion to induce them to engage in sex acts with male commercial sex workers. Something of value was exchanged. There is a transportation element to it as well. What did they say? What did they argue for why this should be thrown out?
Well, everyone has to remember that Sean Combs is charged with 2 counts of sex trafficking, count 2 and then count 4. Count 2 kind of involving alleged victim number 1, that being Cassie Ventura, and then count 4 involving alleged victim number 2, that being Jane Doe. So in terms of their arguments for count 2 specifically, Alexandra Shapiro said, the key element here is what Sean Combs knew, and that they allege that Cassie didn't really communicate her reluctance to doing these freak-offs or hotel nights, as they were later called, that under count 2, the defense says that the relationship was toxic for many reasons, something that
many on both sides, extreme toxicity.
they've been kind of talking to all the way dating back to the pre-trial stuff. And the defense also kind of pointing out, you know, they acknowledged that Sean Combs was, according to Alexandra Shapiro, she used the words regrettably violent. And so it's something that the defense acknowledged throughout the course of this trial, going all the way back to openings where they, you know, they say that Sean Combs, and they admit he was violent with his girlfriends, and in this case, Cassie. And the defense says domestic violence is not evidence of sex trafficking, something that I think a lot of people who have been following this case on social media, some people think this way. But in terms of count 4, in relation to alleged victim number 2, that being Jane, the defense says that the evidence is insufficient and that...
I can't be the only person who finds this shit funny, bro. This shit funny. This shit is funny.
Mr. Combs couldn't have known that Jane didn't want to participate in these hotel nights. Alexandra Shapiro said the evidence showed that Jane was willing to participate. Again, going back to just some of those text messages that the jury was able to see. And I kind of agree with you there, Jesse, where it did kind of feel like this is maybe a little preview, a little sneak peek of what their closing arguments are going to be, maybe just on a smaller scale as opposed to what we'll really see in court on Thursday and possibly Friday. But according to Alexandra Shapiro, they say that the evidence showed that Jane, again, was willing to participate, and she had financial gains to participate too, including the house that Sean Combs had paid for her. Again, something that he's still paying for even to this day, even though he's incarcerated at MDC Brooklyn, pending the outcome of this trial. And then the defense says that the government shouldn't be able to argue the fraud theory because the government alleges this was sex trafficking by fraud as opposed to maybe Cassie, where it might have been by coercion, or maybe just all three of them. But the government, specifically with Jane, had said that this is sex trafficking by fraud, with the promises of that they would spend the time together, just the two of them, whereas...
sex trafficking by fraud.
An entertainer kind of always ended up joining them whenever Jane and Sean Combs were together. And so the defense says that Jane's subjective beliefs are all that the government is kind of relying on, that being that Diddy should have been able to interpret the messages that she had sent, that he should have been able to interpret the reluctance and that type of thing, something that she had even testified to, that he should have known what she meant by saying so and so and so. But then they kind of talk about the fight on June 18th, 19 of 2024, and they say that fight was kind of not sufficient because she didn't have to let the escort into her house even after the physical altercation, where they were kind of differentiating it from Cassie and the March 2016 incident, where they were kind of saying, you know, Cassie was leaving a freak off. She didn't invite an escort or somebody over afterwards, whereas Jane, she didn't have to let this escort into her home after this physical assault had occurred. They were alleging that at any point, and this was something that they even talked about during her cross-examination, that at any point she could have left or that she could have drove away. Right. She could have not even let the escort into her home, but instead she did let the escort into her home. They did engage in a hotel night even after this June 18th, 19th of 2024 physical assault that occurred.
This is all bad. This is all bad for the motherfucking prosecution, bro. This shit is all bad. Y'all gotta give out jury instructions, nigga, and y'all gotta drop shit. Nigga, the motherfucking defense said we not even calling no witnesses because you niggas ain't proving a damn thing of these charges. As a matter of fact, judge, throw this shit out. And y'all response to that was, we'll drop some of it ourselves.
So, right, consensual, he didn't have the mens rea, the criminal intent. By the way, even if the judge doesn't agree that there is enough here to actually throw the charges out, you are 100% right. These are the same arguments they can make in a closing argument, and the jury might be persuaded and say, I don't see sex trafficking.
And that is before, I agree with you, Jesse, and that's before we found out today that now the jury is going to hear, remember when Kid Cudi came? Scratch that. Capricorn Clark, scratch that. Remember we said Cassie was kidnapped? Forget about that. Remember we said Jane Doe was kidnapped? Nah, forget about that. And the jury's gonna hear all of this and go, guilty of sex trafficking. Guilty of RICO.
Side with the defense here. I don't think there was a prosecution hasn't proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. Finally, we got transportation to engage in prostitution. I've said it before, I will say it again. Feels to me, based on the travel receipts, the payment records, the testimony, the text messages, saying Sean Combs transported sex workers and these women for the purposes of sex work. You don't need force, fraud, or coercion, as far as I understand. Feels like the most straightforward case. What did they argue saying these charges should be thrown out? And there's one with respect to Cassie, and there's one with respect to Jane.
Exactly, and just kind of similar to how count 2 and 4, it's count 3 and 5, one for Cassie, one for Jane. And so in terms of just their arguments about count 3 and count 5, the defense says that there's no...
Damn, Diddy look black as fuck right here, nigga. Nigga, you look like you been out in the sun.
Sufficient evidence that
charcoal Diddy.
The escorts got paid for prostitution, which I kind of thought was an interesting argument, given that you're calling them escorts, but then saying that they weren't paid for the point of prostitution. And then they kind of brought it back to Sheree Hayes, who we know now to be the Punisher, and then Daniel Phillips, somebody that was also used during the freak-offs in relation to Cassie, how they both testified as government witnesses in this case, and that they both testified that they weren't prostitutes, that they were just paid for time and experience. They weren't paid under the guise that this was prostitution or that they were actually prostitutes. But I think it's interesting that she called them escorts, but then said that they weren't paid for prostitution. So, you know, you can kind of see why maybe they did that. But at the same time, it was an interesting argument. But we'll see what the judge ultimately has to say in terms of whether or not he'll dismiss any of this. But we'll see what happens.
Well, did the government have a response? Because from what I saw in the reporting, there wasn't much there that they responded to, or they're waiting to respond. So talk to us what the government's response was, or lack thereof, and has the judge decided, as far as you know, this motion for judgment of acquittal?
Yeah, so the government's response wasn't much of a response at all. I was expecting, given the length of those arguments by the defense, that maybe the government might take equal or maybe more amount of time to kind of get those final arguments in their case. But really, they were kind of like, you know, this case should still be given to the jury. They planned on, I think, possibly submitting a letter just kind of to point out the defense's arguments here and there. But in terms of just the judge, he said he's going to reserve his decision, meaning that we didn't hear what his final decision was going to be. But given that they are still talking about charge conference, they're still talking about you know, closing arguments happening on Thursday and Friday. It seems that, you know, for the most part, we're still geared up. It doesn't seem like that judgment of acquittal in full might be you know, fully taken by the judge, but we'll see. He's still kind of reserving his opinion, so you never know what
Well, the defense was definitely afraid of this. That's why they dropped they shit.
can happen in this case. But for now, we're just kind of waiting to see what he has to say tomorrow.
And let's talk about Sean Combs. So Sean Combs, in open court, spoke. And this was about his decision, and it's his decision alone, whether or not he wants to testify. What happened?
So this is a moment that the jury isn't able to see. Again, the jury's not here when this is happening, but we inside the gallery, the public, the press, we're all able to kind of finally see Sean Combs speak a little bit, because we don't see him speak beyond just him chatting with his attorneys. We don't hear him on an open mic. Beyond, I think, the little utterance he had at the beginning of jury selection where he said, "I'm nervous, Your Honor," but now we got to hear him once again on a mic kind of talk about reasons why he's not going to testify. But he didn't get that much into it. Now, in terms of just the way he sounded, I will say this, Jesse, he sounded a little raspy when he was on the mic today in terms of him standing up to kind of allocute on his right to testify. But I think what was interesting, too, is that it felt like at times he might have been kind of like buttering up the judge a little bit, where he said, the judge asked him, "How are you doing today?" And then Sean Combs says, "I'm great. How are you?" And then he even told the judge, "You're doing a great job, Your Honor." And so I think, you know, the Sean Combs give
Diddy starting to get that swag back. Diddy starting to get that swag back.
the judge his credit. You know, credit is due where it's...
Didn't he actually say you're doing an excellent job? Not just great, he said you're doing an excellent job.
So I heard you're doing a great job, and then I think he had said another kind of verb or adjective afterwards, and it might have been excellent, but I think I was just writing down so fast I didn't hear that last part, but I think another reporter said the same thing, that he said great and excellent. So he really was kind of giving the judge those compliments there, when really the question at hand was, are you going to be testifying or not? But, you know, Sean Combs did what every single defendant does. He confers with his attorneys. He has lots of discussions with his attorneys. We hope that a lot of defendants are having a lot of discussions with their attorneys about whether or not to testify. But in this case, despite what Mark Agnifilo was initially kind of telling the press in terms of the beginning of the trial, where he said, I don't know if I could keep Sean Combs off of the stand, it's official now. Sean Combs will not take the stand to testify in his own defense, which is something that, you know, I thought there might have been like a very 2% possibility it would happen, but, you know, still 2% is some possibility, but then that didn't end up happening. And so the defense, you know, they went about their case, which was very, very short too.
Yeah. Look, it says something about where the defense feels. They feel they might have raised enough reasonable doubt through cross-examination, through some of the messages alone that were presented during the course of this case that seemed problematic for the witnesses. There's no need for him to testify. There's a lot more risk for him to testify.
Bars.
And so then it becomes the defense's case, and they didn't call any witnesses, right? They just presented exhibits. And I want to take this a little piece by piece. What were the exhibits they presented regarding Cassie? Let's start there.
Yeah, and I will say this, Jesse, I was very disappointed that the defense didn't call any witness. I thought they would have at least one person who would be called to the stand, whether it be Vosh.
Me too.
Whether it be Dr. Bardet. I thought they would have at least one witness just in their, you know, their belt hole, whatever it's called, but that didn't happen. So what did the jury?
But it makes sense to me in hindsight of all of this shit. Why would we call anybody to the witness stand so you niggas can try to manipulate their testimony to try to build your case on the cross-examination of our witnesses? Because your witnesses didn't prove shit. It'd be different if your witnesses did a lot of good work. Then we would put up witnesses to try to refute what they own. But your witnesses were all trash. And then now we gonna put up somebody on the stand to testify for Diddy, and then you try to make your case on the cross-examination of them? Nah, we not taking that risk either. It was definitely the white suit contrast, and that shit was terrible.
You know, more text messages, probably something that they didn't want to see, especially at this point in the trial. But in terms of just Cassie and the defense's case, they were bringing about those text messages once again. So they brought the flight summary chart done by the government, and then they were pointing out text messages that were associated around the 2012 timeframe, where Sean Combs writes to Cassie, "We're going to have so much fun tonight." And Cassie responds, "I know." And then the defense claims that this text message was before an alleged instance of sex trafficking. And then later, Cassie sends a message to Dave. That was an escort or entertainer that they used during their freak-offs, where Cassie said to him, "Hey, are you working today?" Then they go into the flight chart once again, this being from December 20th of 2012. And then you see a corresponding text message from that same date where Cassie says, "LOL, I took the piece of Adderall before I left. The last round was pretty hot for me. I need to treat my pop better. You give me so much love. I love being in love with you. I know I'll never have a love like this. I know I haven't been the easiest, but I'm trying." Then there were more messages where Sean Combs writes to Cassie, "You think you can FO without getting high?" And Cassie responds, "Yeah, LOL." Then they kind of bring it a little more current in terms of just the time frame, kind of getting closer to the time that Sean Combs and Cassie were going to break up, because they brought a text from April 5th of 2017, because initially these text messages that they were first showing were from 2012. And I was like, okay, these are a little bit older, but they brought some 2017 messages where Cassie writes to Sean Combs, "Can you send me a D pic? LOL." Then she writes, "I miss you." Sean Combs writes, "So what are you going to do?" And Cassie says, "Be your little freak." And I will say this, Jesse, this "be your little freak" text message that was sent by Cassie on April 5th of 2017 was something that the government did not want the jury to see. They objected to that specific text message, as well as this one from May 14th of 2017, where Cassie wrote to Sean Combs, "LOL, I just bought baby oil because I couldn't help myself." And again, that was another message that the government objected to. They didn't want that message to be put in. Obviously, with the defense reading this, you know that the judge ruled to put this particular message in, something that the government, I don't think, was too happy about. But then the defense also talked about this particular message from May 30th of 2017, where Cassie writes to Sean Combs, "About to pass out. I just wanted to let you know I'm really happy and proud of us. We've been together for a long time. You're my best friend. I love you." And again, always paraphrasing with these messages, because it really was a pretty long message, but it was really lovey-dovey in nature, as far as just the amount of time that they were together, how much Cassie loves him, enjoys being with him, that the two are stronger only because they're together, that type of thing. And so the defense is kind of pointing out, even kind of in the later time of June 9th of 2017 through June 11th of 2017, that was associated with this alleged act of sex trafficking, that in between this, Cassie sent a message to Sean Combs saying, I love you and I'm in love with you. I want to be happy too. And so the defense really, again, kind of pointing out that these messages were lovey in nature, that these weren't instances that were happening after, you know, this coercive alleged sex trafficking, none of that sort, because Cassie would send these really lovey-dovey messages. And then the defense also kind of pointing out the only reason that Cassie kind of broke up with Sean Combs wasn't because of, you know, sex trafficking or her not wanting to engage in these freak-offs. They allege that it was because of jealousy as opposed to her being a victim of sex.
I mean, they got Cassie to admit on the stand that she's jealous of Kim Porter.
Alleged sex trafficking.
Yeah, and it's not just the content of these messages, but the number of messages that the jury has heard, particularly the number of messages that the defense just presented in their case, strategic on their part, reinforcing this idea of consent, reinforcing this idea that she's not a victim of sex trafficking. The other way of looking at it is, again, you can have somebody who says yes 9 times out of 10, but the time that they say no, that's no consent. That can make them a victim of sexual abuse. Correct. That can make them a victim of sex trafficking. And there was evidence presented by the prosecution of force, fraud, or coercion. Whether it's beyond a reasonable doubt, that's up for the jury to decide. But there was evidence
and
to
they're not going to decide on
not
such.
Everything was on the up and up all the time. Now, what about the defense? What did they present when it came to alleged victim Mia, Brianna Bungolan, who Brianna Bungolan says that she was dangled off of a balcony by Sean Combs. Mia says that she had worked for Sean Combs, was sexually assaulted by him. I think Dawn Richard came up as well during the course of the defense's case. What did the defense present regarding these witnesses?
Well, they presented a bunch of stipulations. And honestly, Jesse, if I knew nothing about, you know, trials, criminal proceedings, I would be like, why are you showing me a bunch of documents? Why is no one explaining to me what this stipulation means? But I think I kind of know where the defense was kind of going with this, because they brought a bunch of stipulations, one including in relation to Daniel Phillip. He was one of the escorts that Cassie and Sean Combs used during their freak-offs. And so this particular stipulation said in part, on October 7th of 2024, Daniel Phillip told law enforcement he would get jealous when Sean Combs would have sex with Cassie because he liked her romantically. Then there was one from Dawn Richard, and in terms of just her meetings with law enforcement, kind of pointing out to March 18th of 2025, where in this particular meeting, Dawn Richard had told law enforcement that Sean Combs had threw eggs at Cassie because, remember, under the cross-examination of Dawn Richard by Nicole Westmoreland, there was this whole conversation of whether or not it was a pan thrown, it was eggs thrown, like what type of device was actually thrown. Did it just try to toss it in her direction? Did it actually hit her? There was all these conversations under her cross-examination. But according to the stipulation, the first 4 out of 7 meetings, that Dawn also didn't mention that the whole people go missing thing that was allegedly said to her by Sean Combs, because that was also kind of a big point of her cross-examination. Does this, you know, people go missing statement that was allegedly made by Sean Combs, is it kind of a threat, that being a death threat? Is this the right way to interpret a threat? Those types of things. When it came to Sheree Hayes, who we know as the Punisher, his stipulation was talking about how he had told law enforcement he had
calling this nigga the Punisher is wild.
For Cassie. And this was something that the defense pointed out under Daniel Phillip's cross-examination, as well as Sheree Hayes, aka the Punisher's cross-examination, on whether or not these men had feelings, romantic feelings at that, for Cassie, or whether that they were just doing this as a part of their job or part of a performance, that type of thing. But even in terms of Capricorn Clark, the stipulation talked about how the first 11 out of 13 meetings that they don't reflect Capricorn Clark stating that she had called Lauren London outside of Kid Cudi's home in 2011. And even when she was testifying about Lauren London, I think there was a whole conversation on whether or not the person who was jotting the notes down misheard her, that she might have said another name that sounded like Lauren London, as opposed to her actually saying Lauren London. And so then kind of the final two, that being Mia and Vanna. For Mia, the defense brought the stipulation about how the first 3 of 31 meetings with Mia, they don't reflect Mia saying that Sean Combs initiated sexual contact with her. But that was something that she had also testified to, where she said she didn't tell the government everything in those first initial meetings. However, However, I think the defense wanted to bring this stipulation that she kind of just withheld that and only brought it up later in the meetings that she had with the government. But I think what's more surprising is that she met with the government 31 times. That's a lot of times that she met with them. And then in terms of Bonna, her stipulation had to do with how her report or how her meeting with the government didn't reflect Bonna stating that Sean Combs had told her that I can kill you at that photo shoot. And so then after all those stipulations were read for the jury to see,
and she just chuckles at that.
And after all those text messages were read once again for the jury to see, then the defense rested their case.
Yep, and that all went to credibility again for the jury to ultimately decide. So the defense, yes, officially rested their case. No witnesses called, including, like you mentioned, even a witness to rebut the testimony of Dr. Dawn Hughes, who was that forensic psychologist that testified the abuser-victim relationship can be quite complicated.
But ain't that the bitch from the what's the name case? That's the bitch from the Johnny Depp case, right? They had to get up when she got up there. They had to tell them from step one that, hey, she has no facts about this case at all, because it's the same bitch that got up there and embarrassed motherfucking herself with the Johnny Depp shit.
And there's reasons that victims might stay with their abusers or speak highly of them or engage in behavior that looks inconsistent with being abused. But the defense chose not to bring in an expert to rebut that testimony. Really interesting. So both sides rested. What can we expect for the rest of the week and leading into next week?
Yep. Well, unfortunately for everyone, there is no rebuttal case even for the government. So what's going to be happening next is they're going to have a big charge conference where they're going to talk about all the legal stuff in terms of the verdict forms, all of that stuff. Maybe people are interested in it. I'm definitely interested in it. So I will be there. But in terms of probably the next big day, that'll be closing arguments, which, you know, I thought they were just going to be on Thursday, but it seems like, according to both sides, they might be Thursday and Friday, and not just maybe 4 hours for each side. It seems like they're expecting for it to go all day for both sides. So right now, the plan is for 9 to 5 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. And according to the government, they don't even think the jury will start deliberating until Monday. Now, in a perfect world, they say that the jury may start deliberating on Friday. But I think given just how big this case is, how much the stakes are in this case, I think both sides will want to take as much time as they need. So it looks like maybe jury deliberations won't even begin until Monday. So we'll wait and see, but we'll be here following this case day to day until we get that verdict, and probably even after.
That's even true. Okay, Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much. Get out of the heat. It's like 1,000 degrees outside. Really appreciate your fantastic reporting.
Nigga, she's standing up under shade.
As always.
Yes.
And that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining.
So this was the day before. And then them niggas wake up today after the defense takes 25 minutes. 25 minutes. 25 minutes is all the feds took. The defense took 25 motherfucking minutes and then turned around and the feds dropped charges. After 20, these niggas went 30 days talking shit. The defense took 25 minutes and then filed a motion. And before they could get their motion answered, the feds come in and go, you know what? We want to drop some of this shit. Grand opening, grand closing. These things happen. Not surprised. It looks like Diddy's coming home, in my opinion. Look like Diddy coming home, and ain't nothing you niggas can do about it. All this, the feds building. Now y'all realizing that that was just a bunch of fucking malarkey. We talking about they gonna tell the jury about whole days of testimony and tell these niggas that now that, oh, never mind. Kid Cudi, pretend that nigga never came. Oh, a lot of this shit that we had Cassie talk about. Yeah, don't worry about that either. It is what it is. There's nothing else I need to say. I've said it all. Peace out, Janice. Malarkey is a great word here. Hashtag Shay was right. That's all I could tell you. I'm about to go cook and enjoy the rest of my day. Guess we'll have more Diddy fallout tonight. Maybe some other stories. But for now, say peace to your boy. I'm getting the fuck down the road. For me to wake up and see what I saw, I already know what time it is. I already know. An early one in the books. Looks like a 2 for today. I didn't plan on it. Blame Diddy. It's Diddy. It's his fault. It's Diddy. Oh, shit. Well, Kendra, you might want to get on that. Big, Bob. Tommy, love you too, bro.
Not the cap.
Josu. Big. Lefty, we are outside.
Sweetie! Sweetie!
Eyes open. Joy. Miss Nitra. Tato. I thought I told you that he won't stop. I thought I told you that he won't stop. Boston. Shout out to everybody in the bushes. Joy. Big shout out to Tracy. Off topic, but what do you think? But do you think that, man, I'm not even saying that out loud. I'm irrelevant. Of no relevance to me. King Consciousness. Conscious, what's happening? We will continue to break this down, but it looks like the Fed's case has fallen apart as I predicted from day one. But then again, I'm probably lying. Hey, man, God is great. Shout out to the new subscribers. We'll be here in a little while. We'll be here in a little while. Defense team, what do you think about the Fed's case?
Belt to ass. I guess we gon' survive the onslaught of this lawsuit. He got 22 days from the 5th. But boy, I know that he coming back to YouTube because he needs some help because his grip is gone.
I'll be on that, Lefty.
I might not have the lyrics, but I'm telling y'all that we're looking real strong, and I guess do say we ain't going nowhere. So this is what I'll say. You tried, they helped you, you failed. Good luck. Bye-bye. Dismiss. Get your ass out of here.
Carefree. See you later on.
Yo, what's going on, boys? How are you?
Yo, dab me up.
Hey, all right, damn. What part of the city are you from?
Yo,
what's up?
there, brother.
Hey,
yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
You guys ready for this?
Take this.
Oh, all right, sick. Why don't you guys come inside?
Don't ski.
These are the guys.
I'm Octavius Gray. And I'm Steve. Steve Little.
Excuse me, bitch. You don't come in my motherfucking chat saying anything that I be saying is fake news. Who the fuck you think you talking to? You better shut the fuck up.
Wow. It's okay, I have vape in here, right?
We don't report fake news here, but apparently you do. Take that shit up the block, bitch.
Set the mood right. Pick you up, baby, I'm looking so fly. Sunset rooftop, yeah, that's nice, right? Hop in the G-Class, I know you need that. Heart racing fast like the speed of light.
Big. We gonna talk about that tonight, because I saw that shit this morning too. Like, this nigga LeBron, bro, he is ruining his legacy. The worst thing he did was this podcast. He should jet, but he wants superior domination. He was told his whole life he would be better than Jordan and considered better than Jordan and Kobe. And now he's at the end and nobody thinks he's better than Jordan and Kobe, except his sycophants. What a fucking loser that nigga is.
What I could be for ya, you got me wrapped up in your love. You bear me. Finding you is like a treasure. Making my heart
Green fishing, we out, cuz.
And I'll treat you so
expect the box from me soon.
What you did, who you were with, I don't care about those days. When I'm with you, I won't complain. Share your success and heartbreaks. Yeah, you know I stay by your side. Never leave you dissatisfied. But I need you to let me know. Is this attraction? Or is it the moonlight? You want satisfaction, but only for one night. This could be real love, but you've been broken, and I just want you to see what I can be for you. 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 What I can be for you.
And not to mention that LeBron won a championship with Kyrie and a championship with Anthony Davis, and then he didn't get no help in Cleveland. Like, this nigga's a fucking liar, bro. You go look at all the times he lost with Cleveland is because he shrunk when the light got the most brightest, not anybody else. I remember when Booby Gibson dropped his career high 30 in a game LeBron needed. Damon Jones was hitting shots he never hit until LeBron got there.
Crushed it.
God is great. God is great. I ain't rooting for Diddy to not be held accountable for things he did, but the feds fucked this up.
I gotta go.
You got it, Jess.
I don't want to hurt myself.
You got a pee?
It's all right. No.
Clear your YouTube cache, kid, to see if that
I don't
works.
want to fall.
Turn to the side.
You're okay. Just land right on that booty, girl. Just put your legs out
Turn
and
to the
pull
side.
on your booty.
Jess, you're amazing. You got it.
You got it. You got it. Turn to the side. Just let go and turn. Like you're laying in bed.
Yep. Like you're jumping onto your bed on your side.
Just let go. Turn to the side. Shut your eyes.
You got it, my love.
Just turn to the side.
You're okay,
I've never even heard of him.
I'm petty.